A stinger?
Can I tell you something? Like Dan, like I've ever since we started this podcast, like what was it, 2 years ago?
About 2 years, 2.5, yeah.
2.5 years ago. I'm on his ass. I'm like, dude, I got shit to do. Like, if you have your like spare time, could you like do like promo shit or whatever? And he's like, I don't have time either, right? Then he starts sending me all this shit from this AI music. And I'm like, how much time did you spend on that? He's like, well, the other one, like 2 hours. Yeah. And I'm like, motherfucker, like we could have had reels or we could have had like all this shit.
Right.
And he just, when you chastise him about it, he goes like this. He goes, And I'm like, oh, I can't get mad at you.
Creatives.
Yeah, you're like Falcor. You're like my little adorable flying fucking dog. So what do you want to do? How do you want to do it?
Well, first we have the.
Dan found What a Week podcast in a different place.
Okay.
Do you want to see it? Do you want to see a clip of it?
Is it better than this?
Probably.
Oh, wrong one.
No,
oh, see, this is where he's
Right
fucking
there.
up like immediately.
All right. Well, we're just going to hear that. Wait, I know I can do this.
All right. Do it again, Dan.
All right.
This is like how every episode goes, where I want it to be like this well-produced thing.
Right.
And then Dan just...
Well, I mean, you're leaps and bounds ahead of me.
I start at the bottom, and I just want to work my way up from there.
Yeah, you couldn't get any more at the bottom.
Anyway.
All right, ready? Is it working?
Yo, can you hear me?
Check this out.
W-A-W, what a week. Yeah, what a week.
Hey, Tom, welcome back. It's another episode of Wow.
Dude, so just so you know, we franchised to Africa. So that's DJ Fresh.
DJ Fresh.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we didn't look at the trademark or any of the shit that we should be doing, which is fucked up, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, how did you start? How did the name come about?
What a Week?
Yeah, just like What a Week.
The COVID shit really pissed all of us off, because originally what this was, it was me, Micah, Alex Mulfetis, Aja from Ghana, and then we pulled Dan in like episode 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, somewhere around that. I popped in.
Yeah. And then Aja and Alex, I mean, I love Alex Mulfetis, but you know, his schedule is insane.
Right.
And so is Aja, and Micah's just, you know, Micah's like the wind.
He floats.
Yeah. So, and then we just started doing this, and that's how we were pissed off about the COVID stuff. Like, we're like, Micah, Alex, and me are business owners. Aja, you know, works with businesses, and, you know, Dan's an accountant, like, that works remotely. So, like, he was just like, whatever you guys want to do, I'm there. And we're all just like, none of us are making money. Like, this is all bullshit. Locking us down, telling us we can't work, telling us we can't. And the interesting thing about like Micah's business is like the salon business, they are literally trained in infectious diseases to be safe. They're probably the most safe place to be.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they go through all that stuff. So that's how we started it. And then it just grew from there.
Well, is it based off of like, wow, what a week, like a reflection?
It would like be like a Friday night, be like, what a week.
What a week.
And we couldn't call it What a Fucking Week.
Right.
You know, so it was just that's why it's like What a Week !
I mean, it's perfect for now, especially with the climate we're in.
In this moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're not even a week removed from what happened on Saturday.
It was fucking, okay. So like my parents would always tell me about since 1993, when JFK came out into theaters, the Oliver Stone movie, I've been fascinated with the assassination of Kennedy. And my parents, everybody they would talk to when I was a kid, the question they would ask, like, do you know where you were when JFK was shot? And everybody knew. And I'm like, oh, this is like a cultural like memory that everyone has that they don't like. They probably don't remember their first kid's birthday sometimes, but they'll remember where they were when JFK was shot. And that's the thing that like surprised me about what happened Saturday, because it was almost like within like a few hours, everyone's like, well, he got shot at.
Yeah. And
I'm just like, what?
Well, for me, this was like a 9/11 for me.
Saturday was?
Yeah. Because for me, so 9/11 for me, I was actually in class. It was a Tuesday morning rather. And the professor came in and said, you know, a plane hit.
French for plane.
The plane. No, but like, so he came in and said a plane hit the tower. And I'm thinking, no big deal. Maybe a plane came too close and hit that, like the whatever that.
The antenna.
The antenna, whatever that was. Yeah. And I'm like, accident, right? I leave class. I go to Rodano's when it was across the street from the King's Gym.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I'm eating pizza and I look over the TV and I just see this plane fly into the building. And I was just like, holy shit. Like this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
So Saturday, when this happened to Donald Trump, I was actually at Pisano Family Wines with my brother, his wife, and my wife. Night out without the kids.
Yeah.
We're out in, I don't know what it's called, Hemlock Creek or whatever that is. And I'm sitting there having some food at the bar with my wife, and all I see is the owner. She's saying like he was shot in the ear or something in the head. And I couldn't make out what she was saying, but I'm like, what is she saying? Like, did something happen outside? Because we're out in the woods, right? Like, not that people are out in the woods shooting guns, but like,
that's what we do, John.
But that's like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? But like, I just saw her doing this. So then I walk outside and I look up on the TV, same thing. President's, or Donald Trump has been attempted assassination, and I'm like, same thing. Like, I'm just like, what is happening? Same thing as 9/11. So like, I hear it kind of as an aside, and then I see it on TV, and I'm like, holy shit, this is
real
life. Yeah, nuts.
I was. When did you were still in high school when 9/11?
No, freshman year of college.
All right, so you probably got like, I was 98 when I graduated.
Yeah, I finished 01.
01, okay.
Yeah, so it was like, I was like my first year.
So I was hungover when I woke up. Like, I never wake up early, and that day I woke up early, and I turned on fucking CNN, and it was like 9:05 or something.
Yeah,
with like the cat shit, in your mouth hangover.
Yeah.
Where were you living at that time?
I was living at my parents' house.
Oh, okay.
Up in Clark Summit. And my dad that day, the arena had basically just opened, and he was down at a job fair at the arena. So, and there was no cell phones. Like I watched the second plane hit.
Wow. And
then I was like, oh, this is real. Because I thought they were replaying footage from 93.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, must be an anniversary, but I remember snow. So he had like one of those chirp Nextels, and I called him and I'm like, I said, something's happening. He goes, you got to tell me what's going on. He goes, because we don't have anything down here. Like, people are just calling people, and then they canceled the expo. And then I remember for they shut down planes for 3 days. All air traffic got shut down. I remember that the Berwick power plant, they were terrified that somebody was going to bomb the power plant, which means like, okay, now we have wherever way the wind blows,
right?
We all have, flipper babies. And then like that, I was like a Democrat in the 90s. I loved like Michael Dukakis when I was a kid. I loved Bill Clinton. But that day, I really liked George W. Bush, because he got up and, I hear you, and the people that did this will hear you soon enough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yeah. And then it just delved into like, oh, we're just going to, I remember it was like, we're bombing Afghanistan. I'm like, well, how many Afghanis are on those planes? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, none. It was like Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, well, why aren't we bombing Saudi Arabia? And then like oil.
Right.
They're like, they're not going to do that. So they're going to go after this guy. This guy pulls off the biggest terrorist attack in the world, in United States history, from a cave in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So then I started hating Bush, and hated Bush for his whole presidency from that. Voted for Obama, loved Obama, voted for Hillary, and then COVID. And now I'm like, my dad is a conservative. My grandfather was a World War II vet who fought in the Pacific. He didn't like fight. He was like an engineer, but he was at like the front lines to build like airports and shit on islands. And my other grandfather fought in England. He was an electrician. So on the bombers, if anything happened with the electrical stuff, he'd have to go fix that stuff. And he got shot down. I mean, obviously he survived. But both my grandfathers were two of like the best dudes I've ever known. And I'm probably now more like 93 traditional liberal and right of right conservative at the same time,
right? Which
is really bizarre, because I'm like, we need to ask questions, we need to talk to people, we need to have a dialogue. This rhetoric is stupid. I noticed it when Twitter first came in at the first State of the Union when they were like, and now the representative, you could hear and you could see in real time what their thoughts are. And back then at Twitter, it was very like, I don't agree with this policy. And then you could slowly seed it into like, he's going to destroy America and he's a piece of shit. And it's just like, man, the rhetoric just changed over since like social media.
Well, that's what I think. I mean, I think we're all to a degree mentally ill. And I think
I'm not against that.
And I think and it's because of the internet and social media.
I agree. But I think they know. Well, did you ever see The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
It's been a minute.
They know. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They knew that they would fuck with us. I mean, you're in radio and you were at The Weekender and you were at all these things and like you know about advertising. It's like they got to see it or touch it like 3 times.
Right.
And then you hear for 8 years, Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Mm-hmm. How many times has that person been told that who is like, fuck that guy?
Yeah. It's hard to even talk about.
You think so? Because I think I'm at a place where I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Well, what happened Saturday and then seeing people on
their reactions
on the internet, just like, you know, I wish they didn't miss, like just all that kind of stuff. Like I voted for Biden. I
don't like the guy. I don't want him to die.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, where did we become people like, oh, I wish this person was dead? Like, that's insane. And I see it. It's been every day since Saturday. It's just constantly people saying, I wish they didn't miss, you know, do better next time or whatever it is.
Something's happened over the last 8 years. You can call it woke. You can call it cancel culture. You can call it whatever. I call it I look at it as, you know, I'm now a free speech absolutist. And I, you know what the weird thing is like, I hate repeating myself when I say things. And I know like this is like the 12th podcast I'm going to say this. I think the worst form of censorship is self-censorship.
Sure.
I think the words that you know are true, but you don't say for fear of reprisal.
Yeah. And
I think that's what, if you look at history, that's what the bad guys would do. Mm-hmm. The bad guys would say, you can't say those words. You can't have those opinions. You can't have those. And they made everybody afraid.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get canceled, which is another way of like, it's a public assassination with no body.
Yeah. Well, it's weird too, because like, I don't know if you saw Tenacious D, they canceled their tour.
Look, man, I don't think they should.
That hit me like real hard. I'm like really torn up about that.
Well, so it happened and I'm like, ooh, that's not a good look. And then a day later, you know, Jack Black came out and said, we're canceling it. And then Kyle basically gets canceled. I don't agree with cancel culture.
I don't at all.
I am all about freedom of speech, but also you have to, I don't want to see you just say like, be careful with what you say, but like, you can't be on the internet saying like, I wish this guy was dead. It lives forever.
So when MySpace first came out and the MySpace fights started happening, this was like pre-Facebook. So I was at film school in Orlando when this was going on. I remember really being drunk one night and looking at my one buddy and being like, the world was never supposed to know what each of us thought.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's what it became to. It's like, you have a public diary now.
Yeah.
And now you're upset.
Yeah.
That people are upset.
Yeah.
That like you should have just been like, Tina was mean to me. Her mom's a bitch. You know, and her dog's a little piece of shit.
Yeah.
Close your fucking diary and get on with your day.
Yeah.
But now now it's forever.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't understand. I'm allowed to have an opinion. Why is people coming after me?
Opinions are fine. It's just how you present them, I think.
Well, the left's going crazy over the last few days because look at what happened at the county.
Yeah.
They fired that guy, or they didn't fire him. He's on leave.
Right.
But he, if I'm not mistaken, is on like Old Forge Council or the school board. Yep. And like they're up in arms too.
Yeah.
And it's like, but all of you, like this area is really different. Like this area is different because it is one political party has so much power. Mm-hmm. Right. They fed into that for 8 years.
Yeah.
They were the ones going like, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist. Our local politicians were saying it. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, we got to tone down the rhetoric. It's like once the bullets fly, I'm like, you have done everything to ensure that at some point someone's going to try to take a shot at that guy.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. I don't know. It's wild. It's unbelievable.
I mean, that's a great. It's hard. It's furthest from belief.
Yeah.
Because it's gone so crazy.
It's unbelievable, and just everything that's transpired since the debate. Even, I mean, they're trying to tell us Biden's fine, this, that, the other thing, and then you put him on stage, and it's like, did you guys just show up today? Like, has he been hidden for the past year and a half? Like, this is the first time you've seen him?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
People don't know. Like, people don't, like, this is the thing. This is the crazy thing about people that I've noticed is, like, they'll read a headline.
That's it.
Or they'll have somebody, like, they'll see somebody's post being like, Trump put ketchup packets on his ear.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's a fake.
Yep.
Like, I have a really good friend. Well, I don't know if he's still my friend. But after what happened Saturday, we're in a group chat. Like, these two guys were in my wedding. Sorry about that, Dan.
I was not at his wedding.
So these two guys were in my wedding. And it was like these two guys, my brother-in-law and my dad. Like, those are the only people in my wedding. The one guy I haven't basically seen in 4 years because he hates Trump so bad. And when I flipped in the beginning of COVID, it wasn't like I flipped for Trump. I flipped for like, oh, they're fucking lying. Mm-hmm. Like, this is all a TV show. Like, this is all bullshit. And once you start realizing like that television reporters that tell you the news are reading from a script that someone wrote, they are actors. Mm-hmm. You are now on a stage.
Yeah.
You can't listen to those people, which is the thing that really frustrates me because I know they hate me, but they hate me for the wrong reasons. Right. Like, they think I'm like, and that's the thing I met about Trump supporters. Like, Trump supporters do not think he's the Messiah. They do not think that he is like the next coming of Christ as it's purveyed.
Right.
He's just a dude. And as a matter of fact, he's basically like me, a 93 liberal. He's like, I don't want to get rid of abortion.
Right. That's what they're saying.
I know. And this whole, what's the project?
2025.
Oh,
what is that?
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
So really quick, full transparency. I'm not in any way saying that I am a professional in politics or that I know anything.
You're an American having a conversation with another American.
Because that's what's going to happen. People
here, you know
like,
what?
Oh, he's a
here, you know what? Why don't you fill that up first before you... Why don't you get some of that Alex Jones conspiracy bourbon in you?
Have you seen what he's been saying?
Huh? He's right. Dude, if I had my Alex Jones was right jar and my Rachel Maddow was right jar, Alex Jones's jar would have a lot more fucking money in it.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's like... It's scary. It's
how right he is.
Well, but just we go along.
That is the funniest thing about it. You're like, wait, this guy's right.
We go about our days thinking like, the government has our best interest in mind. Nope. And they wouldn't do these things. These things couldn't happen. I mean, think about Saturday and
keep pouring. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
A little more conspiracy.
We'll get you there. He's going to leave here with a bag of hat.
I don't know what's crazier about Saturday. The idea that it could have been not staged, that it could have been like a setup, or is it crazier that a complete failure of the Secret Service and police force happened? What's crazier? I don't know.
Any of those things isolated would be enough to feel crazy. Now you put them all together. Yeah. You're like, okay, how does a 20-year-old kid who was identified by the Secret Service as a threat, like 56 minutes before he took the shot, walk across apparently a parking lot with a fucking ladder and a rifle, get into a position where the Secret Service thought days before was a vulnerable position. He took it up. The closest snipers had a tree in front of them. They couldn't see him. The people on the ground were telling him. We played a video in the podcast last night. We're 2.5 minutes before.
Yeah, 2 minutes or so. Yeah.
But the truth is, it was earlier than that. And then you have these. I can hear you chewing. Okay. And then these two cops. Literally the one cop's pushing the other cop up to see over the edge. Right. It's like fucking what's his face in Aliens.
Or a cartoon.
And then he points the gun, the cop falls, they're both on the radio, and they're not on the radio just talking to each other. It's the all call radio. Yeah. Dude on the roof with a gun. And they did nothing.
Yeah. That's also unbelievable. Like, it's, you hear that and it's like, there's no way that's possible. There's no way.
I can prove it.
I know. But how is this happening? How is this happening?
Yeah. So,
and you say that out loud and people are like, you're nuts. You're crazy.
yeah, it's not crazy.
It's facts.
Most of the craziest things in this world that are true.
Yeah.
You know, like, did you ever see a sound wave?
A sound wave?
Yeah. You play your radio or whatever. You don't see the sound coming out of that thing, but they're real.
Yeah.
They exist.
Sure.
Just because I didn't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
These people who have been beaten down for 8 years about Donald Trump, I don't think there's any coming back for them. Like, I was listening to, are you on X?
I don't.
Do get on. It's fun.
No, I don't.
It's on.
Actually, I just actually re-downloaded the app today. As a matter of fact.
I'll send you some people.
When you said the X, I'm like, well, what are you talking about?
Well, Elon changed that.
I forgot. Yeah.
So I was listening to a Spaces, right? And X was, at the beginning of COVID, Telegram was the thing that I was on.
Okay.
Because I'm like, let me parse out the truth. Let me see the thing that you're saying or the thing that you're showing and, deduce in my own head whether it is true, it is false, it possibly true, possibly false. And then when Elon bought X, it was like, oh, okay. Telegram now turned into X, where like the freedom of speech and everybody can share their ideas and talk about shit. And that's when I started to be like, okay, so then I was hearing the people that like aren't on Telegram, they're on X. So it's like microbiologists, epidemiologists, fucking military generals. Like, you can't believe the people from all over the world who have a voice there. So they do this thing called Spaces. Do you ever hear Spaces?
No.
So what Spaces is it's basically, what was that one during COVID? Was it Clubhouse?
Clubhouse.
Oh yeah, Clubhouse. Yeah.
So it's kind of like Clubhouse, right? So you have like hosts, co-hosts, and then you have like guests, and you can pull them up and everybody else can listen. But those Spaces had like 60, 70, 100,000 people listening to them. I'm like, there are more people listening to this space right now than there is Fox, MSNBC, and CNN.
Right.
Right. So I was listening to this one guy on Spaces, and he's not a conservative, but he's not a liberal. And he asked people all around the country, because he would go around the country doing stories. And you know what the red pill is?
Is that from
no, the red. So yeah, it's kind of like the Matrix, right? So when you take the red pill, you see how far the Matrix goes, and you realize like it's a TV show, right? The blue pill is basically all the left. Well, the extreme parts of the left right now, where they'll never believe anything that you tell them of any substance or reality. So he goes, I've talked to hundreds of people, and not one story has been the same for how they got red pilled. Like, it was like the banking crisis in 2008. Mm-hmm. Some of those people got red pilled from that. 9/11. Some people got red pilled from that. The first Iraq war. Some people got red pilled from that. Obama's presidency. And then like Hillary and Trump. And like there were all these weird things but he's like, no two people have ever told me the same story. So it's like, I became red pilled during COVID, but it was like the most innocuous thing that happened during COVID that really affected them, that made them start asking the question about like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And mine was when, Richard Levine took his mom out of the fucking nursing home, put her in a hotel. Right. And then let everyone else's grandparents die.
Right.
That was mine, where I was like, that's fucked.
Yeah. It was a weird time for me. I tried not to pay attention too much to that stuff when it was happening. I had a little boy at home. Like, I had elderly in-laws. Like, I was just worried about like my small circle.
Yeah.
And I kind of blocked out a lot of that stuff. I just couldn't try and comprehend it.
I had to. They made me non-essential.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember my 1993 JFK assassination book, and I was like, I gotta figure this out. And my sister was, full disclosure, I don't think she'll have a problem with me saying this, but she did not vaccinate my nephew. And the reason why she didn't do that is because they had to harvest like 48 of her eggs because she believes that she has a vaccine adverse reaction from the
what's the HPV?
Yeah, HPV. Mm-hmm. So now like she has like this polycystic ovarian syndrome and a whole bunch of autoimmune stuff. So on like the last egg on the last attempt, holy shit, she got pregnant. Like I remember I was shooting a music video and she called me to say that she was pregnant. And I had to stop the music video because I just started weeping because I know how much she went through. Yeah. And then like 3 months into it, she's calling me going like, I think I think I'm not going to vaccinate him. So I secretly knew for like 6 months before he was born, and then like a month before, like the grandparents started to find out.
Yeah.
And she took a hard line in the sand, which pissed both families off.
Isn't that amazing though? Like just how like divided
Unbelievable. Just the vaccine issue.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how did we survive for thousands of years before without that?
Yeah.
You know? So she, needless to say, my nephew's healthy as a horse.
Good.
Smart as shit. But she started to print out government studies, the package inserts. She started looking up the ingredients. She spent probably 6 months in bed just reading government studies and learning, like, you know, what are all these things? Why do they give it to them? Why do they give it to kids? Has it always been this way? And she really turned me on to like, maybe not these are the best things for kids. So I supported her because I told her, at the end of the day, you're the mother. You have the responsibility of that child. Anything happens, you got to own it. I'm like, but from what you're telling me, I think you're going to be all right. And she didn't. So when COVID hit, she called me and she goes, they're going to force us all to get vaccinated before we can get back into normal life. I said, they would never fucking do that. I said, they would never do that.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, they did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you know that? Because she goes, it's all part of the plan. I said, what's the plan? She goes, what's it? Agenda 2030.
What is that?
Okay, so there's two things. There's Event 201. Have you heard of Event 201?
No. See,
This is all like
maybe
deep. This is all deep dark stuff, but it's in the public. Like it's not hidden. So Event 201 was basically a military governmental exercise that they did in November of 2019. You can look it up online, man. Mm-hmm. It's a 4-hour thing. They got all the agencies, all the departments, everybody together to run this simulation of an outbreak, and everything that happened is what they did.
Wow.
Everything. You have to make sure that people on the news aren't telling any misinformation or disinformation, because we want to make sure that people get better. And it's like, the crazy thing about all COVID is it's the experience of it is that it was conveyed to you as safety and empathy.
Right.
You know, you got to protect your grandparents. You got to do this. You got to be safe. You got to do that. And it didn't end up safe. Like the best thing that everybody could have did during COVID was go outside. Just go outside. Get some sunshine. Vitamin D is the best thing that you can do. Right. It would have 85% of the people who just got vitamin D would have survived COVID. And then when I started talking to everybody, thought I was watching Fox News. You know what I did? I called up doctors that I knew. I called up nurses that I knew. I called up like anybody politicians. I met with a politician in May of 2020 down in Courthouse Square. Me and Micah did. And we're like, yo, you got to open up the businesses. And he goes, and we explained our thing and we said everything. And he goes, I agree with you. He goes, but we were told by the governor that we have to toe the line. Yeah. If we go against any of this, that we don't lose our we lose our reelection money and we lose our projects. And I'm like, that is fucked, because you're going to further increase human suffering because you guys hate Trump so much. And that's what it was about. It was about Biden getting in there and not doing 4 more years of Trump.
So I don't know enough about that to even talk about it.
I'm just, you can look it up. I know I sound like a crazy person, I'm like
we all have access to information, right? We can all read it, watch it, learn from it, or take it for what it's worth. And it's a shame that like there is such a divide. Like, oh, if you think this or say this, is like you're nuts, or if you don't believe me, you're nuts. It's kind of, I'm so like in the middle, and I'm not smart enough to really.
You're not a dumb person.
I'm not smart though. I mean, my wife's the smart one. She's
smart people say that.
I am furthest from. Dude, I'm on radio. I do a silly podcast from my basement. That's who John Popko is.
Yeah, but you have empathy. Yeah. Right? You like to listen. Yeah. You talk to like really cool people. Like people aren't getting the guests that you get. No. But you're doing something that I think is incredibly important, because you're like, I was telling Corcoran this. I said long form conversations, they thought were not going to be a good thing. They didn't think it like. They thought that long form conversations was going to be the death of conversations, but what do you find out? People are craving
it's the best, yeah.
long form conversations. Yeah. Because it's almost like you're a voyeur.
Also, I think we're in trouble is because, it's communication via text message, email, social media. It's just words on a screen. I say it all the time. Like, I could read a message from my wife that says, I don't know, bring home diapers after work. And if I'm in a bad mood or stressed out, like, I could see that and be like, doesn't she know I'm at work? Like,
right.
It's the last fucking thing I need right now.
Yeah.
You tell me I need diapers. When all she's doing is saying, hey, like, her tone probably was just like, hey, please bring home diapers after work because we need them.
And you manifested the tone in your head.
Yeah. Based on your
day,
my level of stress or whatever it might be. I can read the same message, hours later when I'm in a different headspace, and it's completely different. But we're constantly, and I think this work from home stuff is an issue. I mean, that's a whole different conversation.
That sounds terrible.
I mean, I couldn't do it.
It's amazing.
Some people can.
But the guy that blows in the wind like a fucking kite.
I've been doing it for like almost 10 years now.
That's great. People can do it. That's fine. But what I love going to work.
I hate everybody at the office.
I love having conversations with people. Like, I just like getting out of my house.
I like people. I don't like people I work with.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But again, I think even if you're, doing meetings or teams or whatever it might be with people at work, like, it's just words on a screen. If you're not if you don't have a cadence or you don't have a tone, you can read a message from somebody, a coworker, and be like, fuck that guy.
Yep.
Or fuck that girl. Like, but it's not even like malicious.
It's the My Cousin Vinny thing. I shot the clerk. I shot the clerk.
Yeah.
And I repeat, he said, I shot the clerk.
Yeah.
I shot the clerk.
Yeah. I remember when COVID happened, I'm like, this is going to change everything. And, we're still obviously,
this is generational.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure. I remember they were saying like kids were having a hard time learning to speak because they couldn't see other children speaking because they had masks on.
Yeah. And who was the least at risk group of people?
Children.
Yeah. I knew that shit in April of 2020.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 weeks of COVID, I had my liberal hat on. I was terrified, man. I wouldn't let anybody in the house. I wouldn't do this. My Russian wife is just watching me. Right. And then one day I was just like, I read something and I'm like, this is all fear and bullshit. And I think what it was is the statistics, because I would look at the statistics every day.
Sure.
Because they had them age stratified. Mm-hmm. If you're above 75, here's your chances of surviving. If you're, 0 to 12, here's your chances of surviving. And I got to like the 40s and I'm like, and I remember telling him, I'm like, yo, we got like a 99.998 chance of survival. Like, what are we doing? And he's like, I don't know, dude, you want to smoke a joint? And I was like, all right.
I had already had it too. So I was just like the Omega Man.
And I didn't. So, and I didn't, but then I was listening to every doctor that got kicked off of the internet. I found and I started to listen to.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like they explained, like, here's how your body works. Here's what happens. Here's what you need. If you're low in this, you got to get high in this, increase your immune system. You can knock this out of the park. Because they were saying, what's the treatment for COVID? Nothing. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. There's treatments for everything. Mm-hmm. There's treatments for gout and fucking erectile dysfunction, but there's nothing for COVID besides the only thing I heard was NyQuil and call 911 when your lips turn blue.
Okay.
And I'm like, none of that makes sense. And I remember it was like right around the time I talked to that politician, I called up the one of the psychiatrists for the Scranton school district. And I'm like, you gotta advocate to open the schools. I'm like, the damage that's going to happen to these kids is going to be unfathomable. No, we have to protect and blah, blah, blah. And 18 months later, they didn't open those schools, man.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, we're kind of in the unknown, right? And they're just trying to do the right thing.
I think they knew.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because we did this one show with Brian Goldsack, and I don't know if you know him. He's a great dude, and he thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist. We did this like 3-hour slog of like whatever my brain is, and I said, do you know how I know that we were right? And he goes, how? And I'm like, because us fucking idiots, like Dan and I knew, like we knew the things to do and what to take, and I've taken vitamins every day since. Mm-hmm. Like every day I have like this whole course of vitamins that I take. Knock on wood, I've been sick a little bit. Like I had like a cold.
I haven't.
Like,
I've been sick here and there.
Well, that's because you eat terrible food.
Yeah, I eat McDonald's late at night
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just like crazy. Like I like, how old are your kids?
My son is 6 and my daughter just turned 2. She wasn't even born yet.
But that's the beauty of it. They didn't have to go through that shit.
I was so honestly blessed. You know, it's cliche, you know, that whole I'm so blessed shit. But I mean, I was lucky. My son was still in daycare. I think that was closed for not very long. But I mean, it wasn't like, you know, homeschool. I don't know. I don't know how parents did it.
It was a nightmare.
I have no idea how they did it.
So mine are 9 and 11 now. So they were in like the prime. They were in kindergarten and 2nd grade, I think. So like it was the worst time. There was screaming, there was yelling, there was throwing shit all over the house. Just telling them flat out, like, I don't care what you do. Just sit there so the teacher could see your face.
Right.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. And
you are seeing that though. There is like, now that they're in 4th and 6th grade or whatever it is, like you're seeing the ramifications with these kids now that missed out a year and a half of school, and like their level of like math and reading and writing and all stuff is way low.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then take out the school stuff and be like, oh, we told these kids that they're going to kill grandma. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we told these kids that like if you don't wear your mask, like we can't see grandma. You might kill her. Like these kids don't know what the fuck that means.
Right.
Like how does that happen?
And that's just a perspective from like my age limit.
Yeah.
Right. So like Micah was talking, like his son missed out his last year and a half of high school.
That's another thing.
So he had it, like you were saying last night, he had to go into the world kind of unprepared.
Yeah. And not having like, you know, that best year of your high school career,
Sure.
you know, just like seniors lost out on sports and all that kind of stuff too. It's, again, I don't know what's right and what's wrong. And I'm not educated enough to say what's right and what's wrong. It just,
you don't have to be. You just gotta go.
No,
like,
but it's just unfortunate. It's like, it's just a crazy thing. It's crazy.
So, I heard a scientist say the other day, he goes, science is all wrong because instead of going Eureka, we should be going, that's funny. You know, that doesn't make sense. That's weird. We should look into that instead of going like, oh, I found the answer.
Yeah.
This is it for time eternal. It's like, man, if we knew that, we'd still be lobotomizing people.
We still think the earth was round.
Yeah, and it's not. Did you? Well, okay. Like I think that if I'm not mistaken, like when you were at the Weekender, you guys would do shit like that. Like you would do like conspiracy stuff, and you would do, you know, just like out of the. I think that there was a section there for like news of the weird or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, that was all that stuff.
Yeah,
and it was all probably fucking true. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. Maybe
the goat-faced boy is probably real.
It'd be funny to look back on those. I have a stack at home somewhere. I have to pull them out. And
what was that like being in media in like the mid 2000s? And
dude, I mean, I had at the time of my life, like I got paid dog shit, but I got paid to party. Like the Weekender in its, I mean, I was probably, I don't even know if I was called the height, maybe. But because there's probably a couple years before me that was at the height. There's more clubs. There's more. People. You tell someone it was $700 for a full page ad, and they'd be like, "Here you go."
Yep.
Here you go. And I actually in sales, I never kind of saw that part of it because I got into sales in 2007, and then 2008 happened, and it was a fucking nightmare. So
what happened in 2008?
I mean, we were in a recession, wasn't that?
That was the housing collapse.
Crisis,
yeah. And then the banks, we had to bail out the banks.
Yeah. So it was people, you went from getting a full page ad for $700 to be like, I'll take 5.
Yeah.
Revenues plummeted. And then, you had, that was still early. I think Facebook kind of hit major popularity around 2009, 2010 ish. And people just started using that as their, I don't need to pay for this product when I can just advertise it on my Facebook page for free.
Yeah.
And back then, that went to most of your followers, and there was no...
Yeah, the algorithm wasn't fucking with you.
Yeah, there was no like, pay to play type shit. So, I mean, like, I get it. But I mean, as far as, you asked me about growing up in the media and start my career there, it was awesome. I mean, I had the time of my life.
It always seemed like a party.
It was like Who
ran that ship? Who was it?
Well, when I was there, so I got in there in 2005. I started as an intern in 2004. And then the GM.
Like straight out of college, or
Yeah. First job out of college. I was an intern my senior year of college. Got hired full time September 1st, I think it was 2005. And at the time it was Alan Stout was the editor, and then Rachel Pugh was the marketing and sales head of that. And then eventually, I think it was 2006, Rachel was promoted to general manager. And then she left in 2012. That's when I got promoted to GM. And then I left in 2013.
She left right after that wingman debacle, wasn't it?
No, that was before that. I was gone before that.
Where the wingman was basically telling how to rape a chick. And
yeah. Well,
no.
Stolen Valor wingman, a different guy. Yeah. Wingman. I don't know anything about that guy. I mean, I know who he is. I don't remember that story.
He was right. His story was about basically how to get women drunk and take advantage of them in like the bathroom.
He had a whole like comedy and acting stuff that he was like going out and like, I remember. Yeah.
I've seen him recently, man. He looks all right.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He's
an interesting time. But that was like the Max Powers thing and stuff. Like that was a thing in society.
No, not Max Powers.
There was a name.
It was, oh my God. Do you remember Tucker Max?
Tucker Max, yes.
Who's now one of us. Which is really, that's where I learned like 3-rope.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible pejorative to talk about DNA that way. But no, who was the Stolen Valor one?
That was Justin Adam Brown.
Oh, that's right. He did do that.
Yeah, I think that kind of like, it was on its last leg back then. And I think that was like that was it.
But isn't there still like a tinge of it that still exists right now?
Online, yeah. There's definitely it's just online. It stopped printing right before the pandemic.
Okay.
They didn't announce it. It just kind of stopped printing. Like the Weekender for me is like that ex-girlfriend that cheated on you.
Yeah.
Like
you can't
you hate that bitch.
You and Rich Howells, man. Rich Howells is like that too.
Yeah. I mean,
he had Go Lackawanna. Is that what he has? He was at that.
Well, he was at that, and then we hired him as at the Weekender as a staff writer, and then Nikki Mascali left, and he got promoted to editor. He has a little bit of a bigger chip on his shoulder than I do.
He gave a very emphatic speech at the big break that about how he had overcome everything at the Weekender to an EPA scene now. It was very entertaining.
Like he had a catharsis?
Kind of like, hey, they got up there to say like, thanks everybody before we announced the winners, and kind of got into the whole like, almost just being like, fuck the Weekender, EPA scene is here to live.
Yeah. Yeah, which is great.
Damn the man, save the empire.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's like the Weekender is like that girl that cheated on you that you still love, but you.
Well, why'd you leave? Like, what was going on?
I just saw the writing on the wall. I mean, I feel like if I hadn't left on my own, I probably would have been asked to leave, because so in 2013, I forget how many months we were under new ownership. They were based out of North Carolina or some shit like that. And
I mean, once somebody like that comes in, it changes the whole tone.
Well, they outsourced all of the production, all of even like the building and the creation of ads. Like every week I was like, hey, sorry, your ad was wrong this week.
Yeah.
Like, if they paid for a color
guy in
ad,
India doesn't speak English.
Yeah. They paid for a color ad, it ran black and white, or, the ad didn't run at all. And so to combat that, you'd be like, hey, sorry, your ad ran black and white. I'll give you a color ad next week for the price of, black and white, whatever it was. But it was like every week I'm like, saying sorry, Mark, your ad didn't run, or hey, Mark, sorry, your ad ran wrong. And in print, it's wrong for an entire week. You can't fix that, So it was just every week. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna let these people ruin my reputation.
Right.
I've built my reputation on honesty and, doing the thing I say I'm going to do. And every week I'm like, hey, sorry this, sorry that. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm done. And so I decided to leave.
What was your exit strategy? How long was that?
It actually happened pretty quick. Maybe a month.
So you're like, I'm out. By the end of the month, I'm done.
Well, they actually walked me out.
Huh?
Yeah. So, and I didn't think this was, yeah.
Johnny's going to lose his mind.
They walked me out. Yeah. It was funny. I came in to my boss's office and I said, hey, I accepted a job in radio. This is my 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, wow, this is a surprise. And I kind of went back to my office, and then she came back in. She goes, what radio group are you working for? And I said, Rock 107, the Times Shamrock. Times Shamrock had the Scranton Times. So that was a competitor to the Times Leader Group. And they're like, we have to ask you to leave right now.
Right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was a competitor?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have like a non-compete or anything like that, but yeah, it was just like, we have to leave now. And like, I cried. I cried. I was not expecting that to be like my,
last memory of that.
I loved The Weekender, dude. Like I was, if I always joked, and I'm surprised I didn't, but I would have got a tattoo that had Weekend. I wouldn't have regretted it, to this day. But that's how much it was a part of my life. It was a huge part.
Yeah.
I met my wife working at The Weekender. It's like,
not for nothing, man. You're punching above your weight, bro.
Oh yeah. I've been told that several times.
You're punching above your weight, bro.
It's been how many years now? 16 years.
You're an attractive man, but you're punched above your weight.
Be
grateful.
I'm a goon compared to what she's. I don't know how she hasn't smartened up yet, but she's kind of.
My wife's blind as a bat, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful petite Russian girl who can't see, so I'm perfect.
Well, yeah.
I haven't taught her Braille yet, but she's doing all right.
Yeah.
So then you go to do the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go from print to radio?
What do you mean?
Well, in other words, like two different mediums.
Right. I mean, I didn't know anything about radio, but I had, obviously a record of success in advertising. So it's just, dealing with the same people, just a different.
So you had to do sales there? Is that what you did?
Yeah. That wasn't working like on the air. I was doing sales.
How'd you get on the air? When and how did you get on the air?
Well, I mean, you want to get there right now?
No, I don't know. Do you want me to wait?
Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter because I mean, is this the journey? This is my third stop at Time Shamrock.
All right, so let's keep going before you hear your voice.
Yeah. So
sales.
Yeah. So sales. It was 2013. I saw an ad somewhere, and so I decided to give Mr. Dave Mihal a call. And
Mihal, how's he doing?
Great.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. I mean, he brought me back for a third time, so he's doing something right, or I'm just really brain dead. I don't know yet. But So I met with him and the GM at the time before I even came on board, and I kind of rode with some salespeople, and they kind of told me how the job went and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I think I came to peace with the fact that I'm like, I wanted, as an intern, I wanted to be the GM of the Weekender, and I got there, and I'm like, maybe my time here is just done. And I do think that if I had stuck around, they would have asked me to leave because they were cutting people left and right and all that. So I think that would have happened anyway. So I'm glad it was able to be on my terms. So I started working in radio. It was July of 2013, and I was there for almost a year. And
just doing sales, just getting ad buys,
doing sales. Yeah. And it was hard because I mean, like I had some accounts that they had like given me, but I was the low man on the totem pole. Like it was really kind of starting from scratch to a degree. Commission. Yeah. Okay. It was. So if I think for the first year I had like a small base plus commission. And then once that kind of went away, it was going to be a straight commission, but I hadn't been there long enough to get to that point. I thought I wanted to get out of sales. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is a rat race. Like, I don't want to be like knocking on doors trying to get people to buy air, So I thought I wanted to get out of sales, and I decided that I wanted to, I actually applied for a role at eBay. So it was affiliate marketing.
Okay.
eBay Enterprise. It's Pepper Jam before that.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was eBay. It was a name before Chris Jones.
Okay.
Yeah. It was something between Pepper Jam and eBay. I want to say start with a G or something. Not Genpack. Something. I forget.
Google?
No. Not Google.
Small company.
Not Google. Yeah.
Alphabet?
Wilkes-Barre, PA. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I decided I applied, and the funniest thing, that was actually, I worked there for 6 months. It was the worst thing I'd ever done in my entire life.
Really?
I don't know if like I was like the most qualified candidate for that job that they were, like out of the people that applied.
Right.
But I had nothing to lose. Like I didn't need that job. It was just that I wanted to explore. And so I got the job, and I remember them asking me like, how are you with like Excel? I'm like, I don't know. I can auto sum and like the very basics. And I remember getting in there, and it was far more than just, auto sum and stuff. Yeah.
He's got a degree in forensic accounting. He's an Excel whiz.
Dude, I mean, it's a powerful tool. It's amazing. I wish I would have paid more attention in
I always thought it was just tables.
Yeah, well, there's the VLOOKUPs.
This is how you do phone?
So the new thing that I heard is to whatever you want to do in Excel now, just go to ChatGPT and tell it what you want to do, and it'll give you the formula for it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
All right, well then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like my Excel's going to advance real fast.
F you, Excel. No, but I was there for 6 months, and I remember I got there, and I'm excited. It's a new venture, this, that, the other thing, and I think my boss just hated me. Like, I just feel like she did not like me.
She?
Yeah, I don't know what it was such a weird thing. Like, even because the girl that was on my team too, like, she wasn't the boss, she was on my team. She had worked for me at the Weekender. Like, she was kind of like my liaison in between me leaving radio and joining eBay Enterprise. And I got there, and like, she was cold to me. My boss would ask me to do stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll do that, no problem, but I don't know how to do it. I wasn't taught yet. She'd be like, yeah, you do. Just figure it out. So then I would try and do it.
Not good leadership.
It'd be wrong. And she'd be like, why is this wrong? I'm like, 'cause I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I would go home. I would just sit and stare at the TV. Wouldn't be on. Like, I'm like, what am I doing?
That's what psychos do, Johnny.
I felt like a psycho.
Yeah, you're watching your murder movies.
Dude, the one time, so I was like, she's like, I don't know why you don't ask for help. And I'm like, every time I ask for help, you tell me like I know what I'm doing, or like you say to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I just stopped asking you. Like,
yeah.
What is this? Is crazy. It got to the point where they put me on a PIP, a performance improvement plan.
I don't like any of those words.
No. Yeah, we just got to introduce those at work too.
So that was like, so I started there in July. I think that happened in November. I remember I got pulled in, and I just felt like a piece of shit. Like, I was like,
you can call the principal's office for something you didn't do.
Yeah. And but I'm like, I had a career before this. Like, I was successful. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, I can learn things, and I'm just not being taught. And like, it was just a bizarre situation. So I got put on this PIP, and things didn't get better. And I actually went around her. I went to her boss, because I was just like,
she went over the helmet.
not even to be like, not even.
Did anybody get that reference?
You don't go around it. You got to go over it.
Yeah. Spaceballs, nothing.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Keep firing, assholes.
And I forget. I wasn't like trying to tell on her. I'm just like, this is my situation. 'Cause I just felt like I was not.
You hit an impasse with her.
I hit a roadblock with my actual boss, and I'm like, I need to figure out what's going on, because to her credit, she's like, she's my, management team, and I'm, I value her as this position, and this, that, the other thing. And basically, like,
you're out of luck.
Yeah, I'm backing my employee and over you. She's been here for a long time. And I'm like, okay, that's all right. I see, this is where we're at. And it's funny too, because I remember Dave tried to get me back before that moment. And I was like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in driving to Scranton. I'm driving 5 minutes.
I'm having a wonderfully terrible time here. Yeah. I'd rather stay here.
I'm driving, a minute or 5 minutes to work from my house where I was. I'm not paying for parking, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm not considering coming back. So I think he hit me up in December, which is a month after that had happened. And there's like, there's a new GM here. There's this, that, the other thing. Like, just come talk to him. So I'm like, all right, I'll go talk to him. Met with him, great guy, Steve Boardman. He's actually still with the Time Shamrock radio group. But I met with him. He seemed awesome. Loved the vision for the future. So I eventually left eBay, went back to radio. That was February of 2015. It was awesome. Steve Boardman was great. Dave Mihal, great. It was amazing. Fuzz was, Fuzz. It was awesome. And I kind of had some
92.1, right?
Yeah. I kind of had some leverage.
Good thing I told you before.
No, I knew. I fucking knew.
I kind of had some, I won't say leverage, but they kind of saw the value that I had. So it was like, we're going to have accounts. Like, you used to work with LT Vrastros, for example, like at the Weekender. The rep we had that used to handle them, they're no longer here. We want you to work with him. So I kind of had like a handful of accounts. I was able to like work on, maintain, grow, things like that. So just a better position. And I was there from 2015 to 2020.
And then
It
COVID
was great.
hit.
COVID hit.
Wait, really? I was just saying that to be a dick.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I was there for, 6 years, 7 years? 5? Well, no, so 5.
I know you're not a smart person. 2015 to 2020 is 5.
5.
Yeah.
I'm combining the year prior that I was there. So I'm combining
6.
6 there. Yeah, that's where I'm at. But so 2020 came, COVID, and I'm a 100% commission sales rep. You know, what's 100% of 0? You know, do the math.
Wait, what the fuck? Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, thankfully they did take care of us, to a degree. They kind of had this like formula where like they took like an average of the last quarter of 2020 or 2019 and kind of paid you a guarantee based on that. So I was fortunate. I had a great quarter that year. So mine was probably higher than some people. Some people probably had a lower amount or whatever it might have been, but like, they took care of us. Like they easily could have been like, well, you know, sorry, like
shit out of luck, bud.
yeah, you're 100% of 0.
Thanks for all the high fives and good times and laughs. You're on your own.
So
Government's trying to kill you.
yeah. So that was what, March 2020, and then I was stuck around until December, and they wanted us to go back to straight commission in 2020.
What do you mean you stuck around? Like you stayed there? Because I thought they let you go. Were you just doing sales at home?
For 2 months from home, yeah.
And then what? They brought you back, or you were still doing from home?
They brought us back
in May.
Mayish.
Okay.
Yeah. I skipped over the radio stuff though, like on air stuff.
You did.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
Okay.
But yeah, so
you're the boss here.
End of the year 2020, they wanted us to go back to straight commission, and I'm like, I don't think the market's back yet.
Yeah.
I'm seeing what I'm doing, and you know, like I could not afford to live like that with you know having a mortgage and my wife and kid and all that kind of stuff. So I got lucky. I had an opportunity from Axelrad. And
that's printing and stuff, right?
Screen printing. Yeah. Dave Maloney approached me. He's like, "We're moving into a new building. I need like a guy that I could trust and could do sales and this, that, the other thing." I said that a lot, this, that, the other thing. But
it's because that's what it is.
Yeah.
I say like more than anyone else that I know.
Yeah. So I took that. You know, it was guaranteed.
Like a salary?
Yeah, salary plus some commission. And yeah, I did that.
For how long?
3 years.
And then
Dave Mihal calls back.
Son of a bitch, Dave.
Yeah, Dave Mihal calls back. We got a new CEO. He was a CFO.
Is this after the buyout?
After the buyout. So yeah, so they sold newspapers.
Yeah.
Got a new CEO, Jim Loftus, and I only heard of Jim's name in my time in radio, but you know, not a bad word said about the guy. He's a great radio guy, great business guy. He's the CEO, and Dave says, like, come meet with him. Let's talk, because there's a new vision for the company. So that was February of 2024, this year. And
like 5 months ago.
Yeah, met with Jim, met with the current GM, Terry Dietz, met with Dave Mihal, and kind of they're like, we need a guy like. They had a sales team of like 2 people. Like they're like, we need a guy that like knows what the hell they're doing. Like we can't keep handling all these accounts.
Is this Rock 107 radio advertising?
Yeah.
Like for all the time Shamrock stations.
Yeah. So it's Rock 107, QFM. It was ESPN. Now it's a sports radio, WEJL, which is a Fox Sports affiliate. And then we just relaunched Fuzz.
How did that conversation happen?
Which one?
For Fuzz. Because what happened to Fuzz? Like, for people who don't know, what was Fuzz? What happened to Fuzz? So
it was Fuzz 92.1. It was just alternative. Yeah. Alternative station in the market. And like that to me, like, when it was Fuzz, like that to me was a radio version of what the Weekender was.
And what year was that?
I think they launched it in 2012.
Was Tink still open?
Yes.
It might have been like the hardware bar though, or something at that point.
I don't think so. I think it was still Tinks. I think it was
remember.
Tinks.
I don't remember.
But I know.
Sure
well, yeah, it might have been actually. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Do you want to?
It was.
Well,
it was hardware.
We can get to that.
It was hardware.
Because with his, we'll get there.
Do you have a plan?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, great. It was hardware because I remember Hardware opened there, I think, in 2010.
You sure?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I was doing coke at the Coliseum. That's okay. I stopped doing that.
That's good.
It's because they closed.
Where do you do it now?
I don't. I do totally. It's psychedelics and weed.
Yeah.
That's
good for
it.
you.
And cigarettes. I can't quit cigarettes for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
And I don't I barely drink soda anymore. I barely drink any it's just like water and vitamins. And then
You still on that ginger ale?
I am a sucker for a good Canada Dry ginger ale,
Okay.
But
wrong
yeah, I
with
love that.
Nothing wrong with that.
But the psychedelics really,
I'm afraid.
huh? Don't be. Hold on. You guys talk amongst yourselves. The topic is
Fuzz.
the fuzz.
Yeah.
The fuzz.
Just fuzz, not the fuzz. Just fuzz.
Just fuzz in general.
Just fuzz. You know who calls it the fuzz?
It's not the Facebook. Just Facebook.
The Ukraine.
Thanks, Justin Timberlake.
John Fry calls it the fuzz.
Oh, back to John Fry. We got to get away from that guy.
Fucking John Fry. No, alternative station in the market. And that was like the radio version of what The Weekender was. And I'm like,
That kind of took the place of because we had the bear and stuff, and there was kind of a void of that sound basically on the radio.
yeah, it was fresh. It wasn't being played anywhere else. It wasn't like the hard rock that the X plays. It wasn't the classic rock that Rock 107 plays. It just had this place, and it just. And we had Fuzz Fest.
It's like the Toadies and fucking no, that was earlier.
Well,
yeah, you would play the Toadies.
Yeah, we play some 90s because that's what was like. That was like the original or alternative music. But I mean, the Walk the Moons and the Fall Out Boys and the Panic at the Disco and Weezer and all that kind of stuff.
Laughing at?
No, because it's just beautiful that's what the fuzz was.
I love Panic at the Disco.
And I'm going to keep calling it the fuzz.
It's just Fuzz.
It's just Fuzz.
Sure,
Fuzz.
whatever.
Just Fuzz. Just Fuzz.
Maybe,
But,
maybe you have to say Fuzz 92.1, but it's not 92.1 anymore.
It's not. It's Fuzz 96.1.
It's going to take us a while to get to.
It's
To take us a while to get that right.
I think I slipped up once.
That's
on
okay.
there, yeah. But so that's what Fuzz was, and then they changed it from Fuzz to Alt.
That's what it was. They should have never changed
They
that.
should
Why did
never
they
have
change
done
that?
Again, I wasn't in the room. I'm not. I don't get paid enough.
Fuzz was fine.
Fuzz was fine. Fuzz was fine. But they wanted to. I don't know what they wanted to do. They wanted to change it, and the music was the same. It went from Fuzz to Alt, and it was the same music. They just wanted a rebrand.
It's kind of like when you marry the woman that reminds you of your mother.
But yeah,
Nothing's changed.
But yeah, so it went from Fuzz to Alt, and then in 2020, it went from Alt to Christmas music,
Good.
and then
Because
after
people needed a little bit of joy, or what?
that's kind of the angle. It was like, let's just Christmas music. We're killing the station, and it was Christmas music from I think November. I want to say November 1st.
Yeah, I think I remember them starting it earlier than usual.
Early.
Dude, all I got to do is play Buble over and over again.
It was early, and then after Christmas was over, they did the QFM or Q92. It's been kind of 3 different things since then. But so yeah. So
Keep going.
so when I met with Jim and Dave and Terry, they had said we want to bring back Fuzz, and we want you to be kind of like the
dude,
the leader, the kind of the station advocate, or what's the word they gave me?
Ambassador.
Ambassador. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Because I watch Madam Secretary on TV. I know. A couple episodes of The West Wing.
Yeah. And then I was like, what about,
Was that a surprise to you? Did you think that they were going to bring that up to you, or was there rumblings or rumors
nope. I kept that under my hat for months because that was
no. But when they brought it up to you, did you expect them to bring that up to you?
No. So we're going to bring back Fuzz, and I'm like, what about a local show? I'm like, yeah, that too. We want you to do that again too. So I was like, with those 2 things alone, I'm like, well, I'm kind of sold. But the vision for the future, Jim Loftus being there and Dave and Terry kind of seeing the value that I had. Because when I left, a lot fell into their lap too. And they had their own shit to do. They're kind of juggling all these accounts. And
yeah.
So it's like.
It is a business. It's not just radio.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just set it and forget it. You have to, maintain accounts.
People just throw money at us.
Yeah. I wish that was the case. But, so yeah, they told me that. I'm like, well, I have to take this opportunity. I have to. I'm a big guy. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. It's the universe.
So yeah. So
that was the thing that you couldn't tell me.
That was the thing I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was supposed to happen in like May, Memorial Day, and then it got pushed back. It was going to be like mid-June, and then it got pushed back to, I think it was the 4th of July.
Well, I'm happy we waited
Yeah.
because now we can talk about
We
it.
can talk about it. Fuzz 96.1.
Not 92.1.
Not 92.1. 96.1.
But if you want to find them on Facebook, it's Fuzz921 is their Facebook page.
We're still working on trying to get that.
But you've had since February. Why isn't it done yet?
Look at this is your
Well, we
fans.
couldn't-
This is your
We
fans.
couldn't, because if we tried to change it and it changed,
Oh, people would know.
People would know.
But you changed on July 1st. So it should be done July 1st.
something's going on with like the ownership.
Oh, it's
of
impossible to like do that stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been we're like a last ditch effort. If it doesn't happen within the next week, we're just gonna
Start a new one.
Yeah, because we have 9,000 followers.
can't
Yeah,
lose
that's the
that.
thing. Like,
You
how do you
can't
carry
lose
that all over and everything?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like it's a lot of time and effort built. So we don't want to lose those followers.
You can't
obviously.
lose those.
So yeah, so we don't want to do that, but it might have to happen. We'll see.
Are you ready?
Well, yeah. So
Still
what
waiting.
we could talk about what he's doing now, what his show is on Fuzz 96.1.
He has this all planned out, man.
I'm a psycho.
Yeah. Tell me about your show, the local show on 92 on 96.1.
96.1.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
You'll see.
Well, that's your show, right?
Yeah.
Boom, bam.
Well, that's is that what it is now? So you have the Popko. So the Popko Project is the local show.
So the podcast is still the podcast. So
Yeah.
and maybe I'm not smart, but my thing was I've been doing the podcast it'll be 4 years in December.
You started right at COVID, didn't you?
It was December 2020,
Okay.
Ish.
So at the end of COVID or the end of the first
first year.
2020. Okay.
Yeah. So I've had this brand, so to speak, for almost 4 years now. And I didn't want to be like, oh, well, go listen to my podcast. It's called this. And then go listen to my radio show. It's called
something
this.
different.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, how long before someone's like, dude, I hate you. Stop talking. Don't tell me to do anything. Like,
Give me one brand.
get out of here.
Yeah.
So I called it, it's the radio experience. It's different. It's a different experience than the podcast. The podcast remains interviews with artists and entertainers. And then the radio show is featuring the music on the radio.
Are you doing the Dwayne Johnson eye there?
Maybe. I don't know.
Did you notice that?
The whole thing is weird to me. The fact that
Like the one eye is like, can you smell what the rock is cooking?
so I had to like take selfies. Keith Perks is the one who created that logo for me.
He did a good job,
Yeah.
bro.
Well, it just like the whole thing is weird. I didn't want my name to be part of it, but like when I was consulting people, yes, I consulted people. Like Josh Balls is the one who's like, you have to use your name because people know who you are.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to use my name. It sounds pretentious, but like, sure. Okay. So that's that.
Think Johnny Carson thought that? Conan O'Brien?
Two different people here.
Yeah, but it's you.
Yeah.
They're not tuning in to fucking like, have a caricature of you.
Yeah.
What was that word? Caricature?
Caricature?
Yeah.
It's close.
Do you not like it? Does it feel weird when you see it?
It feels weird.
It still feels weird?
Yeah, but it's fine.
That's why we did What a Week, because none of us had to own it and have our faces on it.
Yeah.
But now I want to do promo.
Well, that's why I wanted to like, so I had all these things, the Weekender, which I like put everything I had into. And then, the local radio show, I guess we could talk about that quickly. Now, when we started, it was Alt Natives on Alt 91 back in 2017.
I remember that. Yeah.
So we had a program director who came from
That's
Detroit.
a good name.
I know. I liked it.
It's a good name.
I did that.
Alt Natives. I
Alt
like
Natives,
that.
yeah. Right. And so we had a PD come in to work here in 2017, and he was just like, we were talking about like the station and what people wanted to hear from it and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I want to have a local radio show because there was at the time another local radio show. There still is. But they weren't featuring like the current bands really for the most part. They weren't like talking to the kids that were like out there, playing in the clubs and all that kind of stuff. So I said to the PD, I'm like, I wanted to have a local radio show. I said, not me. I didn't want to
Just something.
but just, something, because like, I think we had a place, and like Fuzz was like locally owned and operated. How cool would it be to have a local, radio show? And when I brought it up to former management, they looked at me like I was like,
Yeah.
are you stupid?
No, you do sales. You don't have ideas.
But I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the show. I can barely talk to.
I don't even want to produce it. I just think it's something you should do.
Yeah, do that. So when I told it to this PD, he's like, no, you should do it. And I'm like, dude, I have no business.
You should be the one.
I don't have a radio experience on air. I can barely talk in general. There's no way. He's like, no, you'll figure it out. He goes, there's no one better to do it than you.
A lot of people in your life telling you you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Figure it out. It's
And he does.
Yeah.
kind of. I'm still figuring it out.
They don't know. They don't know. Don't tell them.
But yeah, so that started in 2017. I did it for 3 years. And when the station changed formats, that kind of got killed. And that's when I started the podcast, because I was like, I need this scene more than they need me. I felt like, man, like I feel like there's part of me missing. And I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna do this podcast. I'm still gonna interview the bands and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna force my way into the media that way. And that's how the podcast was born.
Did it suck at the beginning doing that podcast? I hate the Zooms.
It's terrible. It's still not ideal, right? There's no better way to have a conversation than face to face, like we're doing right now. And it's still, I mean, but like the Zooms lend me to be able to talk to guys in Florida,
sure,
Detroit.
It opens up your guest base.
Yeah, but
huge.
I need to, find a way to have, like, when it's local, to have.
What was that thing that we found? Video
Ninja, and it's like it's basically like a Zoom, but you send them the link. It's the same thing like StreamYard kind of does, but you could like isolate it into like the OBS and everything.
So you can have like multiple guests on.
Yeah.
You could actually have like we were debating about doing a live stream and having people literally just take the link, come in, we let you in, and
like an open phone line kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Video Ninja.
VDO Ninja. Yeah. And you literally just send out the link and you give permissions to like whoever you want. And
same thing.
But it would be a great way if there's like a topic of something that it's like, like a local topic. Like let's say, hey, how do you feel about the homeless? They can call in and say what they want. And you're good luck. You don't know who you're going to get, and it might be exciting, but you can always go
like chat roulette.
It's basically like a chat roulette call in show, or you have people that you're like, hey, I want you to call in. We want to talk to you for about like a half hour.
Yeah.
Video Ninja seems pretty neat.
It does. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
But like the quality of it, it's like spectacular and stuff, and that's where it really comes into play.
Yeah. Well, I've been lazy, and it comes from being scared too, because I've been using it for so long. Like I know what I'm doing with it. Like,
you use StreamYard?
No, I use Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, and I should use something different. I should use a StreamYard or Riverside or whatever the heck that is. Like
every show we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like every show we're figuring something out.
I should, but like I just get I got comfortable doing it that way.
We did like 20 episodes where I'm looking at him going like, wouldn't it be nice if we could just like fucking put the thing up that we're talking about and like everybody could see it. And then he went in and figured out all those OBS things where it'll do the split screen. It'll do like the big screen, and then like you're in the lower bottom, and then it'll flip back and forth. And then now he's getting better.
This is like by no means what I do.
But he's doing.
I'm literally an accountant. That's what I studied. I just have a passion, desire to want to kind of do this.
Okay.
So I find it interesting. I just watch YouTube. It's like it's out there, and you just watch the videos. And
but he's doing five guys' jobs.
Yeah,
I am super lazy too.
Yeah, well,
super lazy.
Not as lazy as I am.
I'll lazy you any day. So lazy, I didn't even switch that shot.
You want to go? You want to go? I'll show you who's lazier.
Oh, look at this.
I want you to play your thing.
Okay, well, so John, local show, right?
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
What
you can watch on
TV. Hold on. Quit jumping the gun. So
Dan loves setups.
What's how do people get on your show? That's kind of what I'm wondering too.
Which one?
What's the local show that you're doing right now? Yes, the radio show.
I'm soliciting. They can email me their music.
Okay.
MP3 or WAV files.
And then you have them on as guests?
No. Well, so that's what the podcast.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have both. Right. So that's why so I have branding. One has that image and it says podcast.
Is it always musicians?
Musicians and entertainers. It's
okay.
95% musicians.
Okay.
But it's entertainers too. Like I have authors, tattoo artists, comedians, things like that. Yeah.
Are they usually funny?
Some are tough, man.
I know, right?
Some are tough.
Some of them have dark backgrounds.
Yeah.
They try to make you laugh.
And not even just the comedians, but just in general. Like the one I'm releasing tomorrow was a band from Canada, and it was tough trying to get
like any words out.
Yeah. Like,
how's your day? Good.
Yeah, that's it. And then it was like, I don't want to like say like, oh, only one or two of you can come, but I should say that because obviously it's already hard enough if there's two people.
Who's the best talker in your band?
Yes, that should be the one.
Who's the most communicative?
But also, if all four of them are talkers and you get on a Zoom,
it's chaos.
Like and I always start with like, listen, we're going to talk over each other by complete accident. I understand that. I'm not mad at you for that, but like try and be, cognizant of that.
I listened to Rogan where Rogan said like everybody wears headphones because it forces you to interrupt each other less.
Sure. That makes sense.
And I don't think like when you have a free for all like that, good fucking luck.
Well, it's funny too, because when I started it, I'm like, oh, if I interview musicians, they're probably going to have a good setup. They have microphones. And I'm not even...
They're also poor.
They have microphones though, but...
and lazy.
There's been like a handful of people who've showed up with a good microphone. So my audio is always pretty decent.
Yeah.
And theirs is always like, okay. So that suffers too, is the audio. So it's an audio format. So I feel bad about that because like if you tune in to listen and it's like this dog shit.
In the film world, there's this saying that if it doesn't look good, they'll forgive you. If it doesn't sound good, they'll never forgive you.
Yeah. That makes sense.
People need to hear like what they're used to. Otherwise they feel like, I mean, can you imagine the trauma of all these people who had to do all their Zoom meetings and then now they want to listen to a podcast and they're like, this sounds just like my fucking Zoom meeting from before where I wanted to kill somebody.
Well, I had that on my side. It was like, because it kind of like forced people to be okay with dog shit quality.
I'll tell you what, because of that, it did allow those conversations to happen.
Yeah.
But now I think everybody's got to step it up a little bit.
I have to. And I'm at the point now, it's like I have to really decide. And I think with the radio show kind of being a part of it, it's time to kind of figure out
bump up the pot a little bit. Yeah. So it'll be awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. They've given me the opportunity to, and I didn't want to name the show, like I said, anything about me because I just don't want,
You're going to be a celebrity.
No, not at all. Maybe after this podcast.
Too late.
No, but like, again,
we do lots of clips now.
Oh yeah. Lots.
Yeah. So it just made more sense to try and keep everything kind of like under the umbrella of the Popko Project and then kind of just.
It's smart. It's smart branding.
Yeah. And it feeds each other. So it's perfect.
Right.
It's called synergy.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have a marketing degree. Now,
really?
Now my marketing degree from 2005
means nothing today.
Nothing in this world because it's completely different now. But from a branding standpoint, from a consistency standpoint, from a cohesive standpoint, like I kind of have that down.
We have like I did it the other day. There was like 4 shows that I did where I was like, what do we present? And there's all like these different shows that we could possibly do. That's because I'm like, I agree with you 100%. I never wanted to do like, I'm the face or he's the face or anybody's the face. Like the thing should just exist as is,
right,
as its own thing. And that should be the bat signal in the sky for everybody to see it. Not just like, but then you realize like, man, people really like to talk to the person who does the thing. They feel like they're, it's like when a grandmother walks into Tom Clark at the grocery store. She's like, this is amazing.
Yeah. He's real.
Like, have you ever had anybody run into you and be like, oh, I saw you on that podcast?
No.
Oh, I have. Well, fuck you, Dan. It must be because I'm always wearing like a cowboy hat and being like real stupid, and maybe that's why.
Everybody just tells me how they're their favorite part of the show. It's weird.
That you're their favorite?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
So your roommates tell you that?
Chomko's wife, actually.
She said you're the her favorite part?
Yeah, she said I'm her favorite part of the show. Shout out to Bridget.
Wow, Bridget.
Amber likes me too.
Yes, she does. She likes you a lot.
Bridget was on my podcast early days.
She's the best.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Andy's one of my dearest fucking friends in the world. And I love him. He's one of the best. We had him on here the day after Biden pulled out of Afghanistan. It was a clusterfuck.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm like, Andy, you want to come in and talk about this shit show? And he's like, yep. I was like, okay. And then he's on here and he was like, there's some people you just have to cut their faces off. And I'm like, tone it down.
Yeah. Well, real quick, today is July 18th. They're saying that Biden will be out by the weekend.
That's what I hear. I heard a couple other things, but I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. Like, you can't believe anything now.
No.
Like, I don't believe anything that they fucking say.
I don't know.
What do you think? You ready?
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. So anyway,
dude, this is like the worst penguin blowjob ever.
Are you creating it now? And you're like, what's happening?
Yeah, right.
He's back there growing a horse.
Well, you need to understand the premise here. So
do you want to tell him?
So we have a listener, Khaki Squire, who sends music to us. So, and another side tangent. The original podcast that we did 12 years ago was the Anti-Popcast, oldest podcast in Northeast Pennsylvania.
That's true. We started that back in 2010 when I got sober.
Okay.
So we've kind of come to a deal where he's sending me music for just shit that he writes and stuff. He has a couple albums and ideas that he wants to do, but with you coming in, I want to make, like, he's like, oh, maybe I could get on the show. Maybe you could play it on the air or something.
Yeah.
So
it's like playing it in front of Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah.
But he does it like all on his phone. Like, he's a super talented guy. It's him. Khaki Squire is the guy. Jiffy Two Chords is a guitar player. There's a song.
He's an incredible name. I think I say Jiffy Lube.
No. Jiffy Two Chords.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I heard.
There's a song he wrote about, like, the train coming to Scranton that we're going to release. That's probably gonna be more like an election time thing, I think. But that features the Corduroy Queen. It's a fucking hot track.
His name.
Yeah,
it's dope.
It's dope. Yes.
Is it fire?
So, he sent this in and he wanted us to play it for everybody. So this is the premiere of.
Yeah.
What was the name of the song here? We'll go to that one. Yeah, it'll tell us here.
A tale as old as time.
Met her at Tink's Park at a draft night. Thought she was the one, her eyes were so bright. Bow through mud and flew in a haze. Lost in passion in a daze. Next morning felt the burn in the itch. Guess this love came with the hitch. Trusted guy tried to unwind. Now I'm paying for that night. Oh why did I hook up at Tink's with no goodbye? Now I'm scratching all the time. Never thought love would feel like crime.
So we've all had these nights at Tink's, right?
I mean, I never woke up with an itch.
There she is, that slut.
Mornings washed away in the glow of that wild play. Sinks with loud, colors were flashing. Now I'm regretting all that smashing. Feeling foolish, full of shame. Can't believe I never got her name. Just a night of fleeting fun. Now I'm burning like the sun. Oh why did I hook up at Tink's with no revive? Now I'm scratching all the time.
Fucking doctor.
I love to feel like crime.
Wait, was the razor blade for crabs?
Yeah, you gotta shave them out, he said.
It's like a real story.
Yeah, I mean,
It is now.
Warnings washed away in the glow of that wild play. Tink's was loud, colors were flashing. Now I'm regretting all that smashing. Feeling foolish, full of shame.
This has like that Blink-182.
yeah, he's about our age,
some
so kind of
41,
like,
yeah.
Now I'm burning like the sun. Oh why did I hook up that Tink's with no goodbye? Now I'm scratching all the time. Never thought love would feel like crime.
Yeah, we gotta blow this song up.
You should play that.
I mean, I
You should
would.
play that song.
so the track that they sent me kind of has like this sound quality is a little over modulated there or whatever, but yeah, I'll have them, I'll submit it, see if we can get you a track.
Yeah. Well, people love, especially like local, about the local scene.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's like, we all know a guy that was trash at Tink's and came home the next morning with the burn in the itch.
I never knew anybody like that. Did you?
Yeah,
I don't
my
know
boss.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. Yeah, he probably itched a lot.
Yeah.
He had a lot of itching.
Good thing you had a doctor as a father.
So where do we go from here, man? What is the future of Johnny Popko? And
I don't know, man. Hopefully, like I said, the radio show kind of amplifies the podcast, and the podcast amplifies the radio show, and that's the goal for that, really. Working in radio. But where? I mean, is from a career standpoint, or just life, or what? What do you?
it's like the career, and then where do we go? Like, what's the next few months for the world? What are you thinking?
Well, I always said
I'm curious more about your career than the rest of the world. Even though
I mean, I'm just it's only been what? It's March, April, May, June, July, 5 months I've been back. But everything they told me was going to happen has happened. It wasn't one of those things like, where a lot of companies will tell you, okay, yeah, we're going to do this and do that. And
Company car.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get a car, but they didn't tell me I would. So I can't be mad at them for that.
Back rubs at noon.
But no, it's
Fluffers in the ladies' room.
Sweet. Back rubs would be great.
Why are the fluffers in the ladies' room?
Because you got to break the rules to go in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It shows you how much of a rule breaker you are at Fuzz. You got to go to the ladies' room for your back rub.
But yeah, so Fuzz is back, and hopefully that's gonna, kind of be embraced like it was.
How do they gauge like the success of that? Is that listeners or is that ad dollars? Or
both.
They're both.
Both.
Like,
I mean, well,
the more listeners, probably the more ad dollars you get, right?
Well, that's what you can say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like it's so antiquated the way you get those numbers.
Is it still
It's
like Nielsen and stuff?
Yeah, it's diaries.
How do they still do that?
I don't know. But
do they count streaming and like listeners that are streaming? And
I don't have. I'm sure they do. I don't have access to that. We probably should. We have. So you can stream all the stations on our websites. We have apps for all that too. So we have numbers of like downloads. How many people have the app, but as far as like, I should probably know that. So yeah, so you can this will be
Dan, you want to click through it?
Yeah. This
you kind of can't.
Yeah, this is still like
it's a very static kind of page.
Yeah, it looks like a lot. It's very static.
Very static, actually.
So this is
Static
so right
in
now
the attic.
you can
Whoa.
listen to it via the website. You can download the apps via the website. Eventually, there will be contests and ticket win tickets via the website and the app and all that kind of stuff too. So it's still a work in progress. Yeah.
What's the bring it back to its. Can I tell you something? I run into kids now, and they're like, "You grew up in the '90s," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "That must have been fucking awesome."
Yeah,
and I was like, I never expected kids to say that to me. Because I think now there's like this resurgence of like when we grew up, like there was no rules, there was no like we respected people, but at the same time, it's like street lights come on, come home.
Right.
Parents didn't care where you were. Down and dropping M80s down fucking sewer pipes and.
Well, I always say like I think the reason why kids are the way they are today is it's our fault as parents.
We all failed.
I think. Well, it's not that we failed. I kind of talk about more like of being that overprotective parent, the helicopter parent. I think our parents had us when they were very young, so they were still trying to be young and live their lives. So like. It was easy for them to be like, yeah, go play.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go to work or I have to do this, or we want to go drinking with our friends. Like we'll bring you with us and like you go off with their
go hang out in the basement. They have a Nintendo down there.
Exactly.
And the kids are from like 6 to 14 years old. Yeah.
Just go right now. It's, I didn't have, we didn't have our first kid. I was 35. So I'm
still working at it. I'm fucked.
But at that point, like,
you're gonna be so tired.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Daddy. And it's like heart attack.
But so, yeah.
Robert
so like,
De Niro.
Now we're older, we're wiser, we're kind of smarter. And I think we just care a little more than maybe our parents did to a degree. I'm not saying our parents didn't care about us, but like, it's just different.
Do you find that like I'm seeing this where it's like, I don't want to bring up like hitting kids, but it's kind of along those lines where like I'm seeing parents now more like when that became taboo for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like, when my sister had my nephew, she's like, there was one instance where she's like, he's biting me. Like he was like, I don't know, like just able to walk and that's his move. And I'm like, fucking bite him back. Like hit him. Right. She's like, I'm not going to hit my kid. I said, do you understand like how he's not going to understand why you can't do that. He needs to know that like, if you do that, then I do this. Mm-hmm. And he'll learn that is some sort of punishment. And then later down the road, you explain it to him, like a human being and, treat him like we don't do that because of this, and this. Right. I'm like, but you're never going to convince the kid. He'll never understand it. He doesn't know what fucking society is. He doesn't know what culture is. He doesn't know what, So like 2 weeks later, she's like, I bit him. And I'm like, really? She goes, he stopped biting. Yeah. I say, I fucking told you. Yeah. Like, that's not malicious. You just repeat the behavior as the same way that they did it. And
makes sense.
I think we're moving back to that. you know, a little bit of, you know, I think we're working away from the helicopter stuff a little bit.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely.
It makes mentally ill kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do my best to like.
No danger, no experimenting, no.
Well, I'm good at, so I'm good at seeing like things before they happen. Like, I'm like, if you do this, you're going to trip and fall on this.
Yeah.
And to the degree, I should probably let it happen, just like, because he can learn that way. But I tend to be a little, you know, preventative, I guess, because I don't want to go to the hospital.
Dude, you're going to fucking fall off that. Like, don't.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the hospital. Like, I don't want him to break an arm and shit like that. So
sometimes you gotta.
I know.
Sometimes you got to break the arm.
It's a fine line of trying to like give him enough rope to hang himself with, but like also like
it hit around for me around 8 and 10 with the age range that I started to be like, just go outside and just go in the woods and do something dangerous. Like, just please, like, get outside and start doing that. And now like they're more natural about like, oh, we're gonna go ride our bikes and like this and that. But there was a little bit of that like reservedness before that though, still, because like they are your babies and like you want them to be safe and everything.
Yeah.
I smoked my first cigarette when I was 9.
That's disgusting.
You know what I mean? But we would steal like Maxwell House cans of gasoline.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time we were in the woods in Clark Summit and I thought it was a great idea to be like, so you remember the big Maxwell House fucking cans?
Yeah.
So I put like maybe like a quarter of it full of gas and we lit it. And it's just a flyer.
Right.
And then we threw in like 2 lighters. Which I didn't know what happens when that happens, but it looks like a fucking, when those go, it looks like a Nagasaki mushroom cloud. You got to try it. It's fucking amazing. But my one buddy's like, I don't see anything. He's looking over and the fucking thing goes boom and mushroom clouds around his head, right? Eyebrows gone, hair's frizzled, whatever. Parents never asked if anything when we went back. We're like, dude, you were just on fire. Are you okay? We were like 14. He's like, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. I'm worried the kids don't have those stories these days. I mean,
they need to.
They do.
But you know what? You know how you get those stories? How I feel right now where I identify with Bond villains. I'm like, drop the fucking EMP, blow these things the fuck up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a tough 2 weeks. But then everyone's going to fucking be like, oh, that's a relief.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so happy that fucking brainwash machine's out of my hands, out of my life.
I want to keep the internet for like emails and, you know, stuff like that.
That's it.
The social media stuff. I mean,
I think it might be coming around to this, but via social media.
Yeah,
I think you're going to go like traditional media through social media.
Okay. Yeah, I've thought about, especially after Saturday and seeing people just like melt down. I thought about deleting it.
You need to see that. I know it sounds like morbid, but you need to see that because, like, look, you're the dad, right? So you're the man of the house. You have to be the protector. You have to be the one who's, you know, like I'll give you for instance, like the other day, me and my wife never get into it. Very rarely. Like every time we get into it. The last time we really got into it, I decided to take a high dose of mushrooms for the first time in my life. Like that's how often me and my wife don't get into it. But the day Trump got shot and I got home and like, you know, I follow the ones who are like, I trust and they're quick and they're, you know, they'll post a thing and be like, this is not verified. You know, they're honest about it.
Right.
And the fucking dad that got shot, that died. And I'm looking at it and my wife's like right behind me and she's like, what are you looking at? And I'm like, you don't want to see it. And she goes, no. What are you looking at? I said, it's the dad that got shot. She goes, let me see it. And I went and I looked at her and I said, why the fuck would you want to see that? Like, why? Like, I'm trying to protect you from seeing shit like that. You know? So I think like the masculine role of a dad needs to actually be, you know, what our grandfathers was.
Right.
I think that's the way to move forward. And our grandfathers were not like, in hindsight, when I think about my grandfathers, like they were tough guys, but they weren't like, you know, they weren't afraid to cry.
Right.
You know, they were tough guys for survival, you know, and I think we got to get women out of the workplace and get them back in the kitchen, cooking dinners and raising kids.
John, comment.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to tell you something crazy, right? So I know people who are incredibly hardcore fucking liberal women. And it was said on our podcast, I believe.
Oh, they went off on it. Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, all I want is to be married and not work, take care of the house, take care of the kids, have my man work and take care of me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second. Like, you're the ones who are like toxic masculinity and fucking women. And they're like, nope, we want that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then you should probably start fighting for that instead of the other thing, which is really surprising to me that like at their core,
Yeah.
that's what they want. They want the equality and all that other shit too. But at the core, they want that. So which means they don't care about the other shit.
Well, that's also just part of, I have a boy and a girl, and, we talk about these genders and gender roles and things like that. Like, I see the
you
way
let the kid choose those. Don't you know that?
but I see like the way like my son plays with cars and dinosaurs, like, different things that he's playing video games now because he's 6. But like when he's a little kid, like my daughter gravitates towards dolls. Like she like literally will feed her baby like a bottle. Like,
did you teach her how to do that?
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not, it's
That seems like a nurture. It's already in them.
Yes.
Like that's a nature thing. Like that.
That's
Like
okay.
women are naturally. This is what somebody said it to me this way. Like men and women, because they're now trying to like blur the sexes, and they said men and women are supposed to be different because they're complementary, like the yin and the yang.
Sure.
Right. Without those two things, you don't have the whole.
Yeah.
And that hit me like a ton of bricks where I was like, oh, this is the easy way to argue around the trans
that makes
shit.
sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too into this, but I saw something today. So
I love how they like, I don't want to get like the whole thing in, but just a tip.
so maybe you can help me.
I'll help you. You can ask Dan how he's gay. You can ask me.
Help me figure
joyful. You're very joyful.
Oh, yes.
Help me figure this out. So
Yeah.
there's a man who identifies as a woman. I don't believe he's had the surgery to be a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has or should I say she? I don't even know anymore. But he has a girlfriend who's queer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, isn't this just a regular relationship?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
I was just like, I don't understand like
Yes.
the concept
you
here.
don't like, I like the girlfriend likes women. He transitioned from a man to a woman, or so he says,
right,
so that they can be gay.
I don't know if it's because,
but now they're back to hetero.
And again, I have no problem with people wanting to identify or be whatever they want to be. I don't care. It's just very confusing.
The LGBs, I have no problem with. The T's and the Q's, that's where it went off the rails.
Yeah.
Once you start fucking telling kids, at 9 years old that you're not, I mean, watch those shows. It's even earlier. It's like it's Stockholm syndrome. And it's always, this is why the right gets so upset about this stuff. They get upset about it because it's like every conservative that I know, right, has no problem with gay because gays existed forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. My grandparents even told me when I was a kid, they're like, Johnny down the street was a little weird and he had a roommate that lived with him for 40 years. Like we knew, but like he was great at parties. He had cookouts. Like you never talked about that stuff. That stuff was that's all your own personal life. You want to be gay, come over, talk about like fucking football games, barbecues, how to build a house, shit like that. That's fine. The conservatives have a problem with it because they see people on the left tend to want to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you have, let's say, for instance, a gay couple who are adopting kids, which, the right sees as like child trafficking. And then like Megan Fox, for example, right? Charlize Theron, they've adopted all their children and all of them are trans. All of their kids are trans. Like Megan Fox has like 3 trans kids. How the fuck does that happen? The cosmic anomaly of that is like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
So you go, okay, it's got to be something to happen at the house or something that they're allowing to participate in or something like to confuse them. Like I was on Bill's podcast and I remember he goes, we talked about like self-censorship. What are the things that are true, but you don't say? Mm-hmm. And he's like, give me an example. And I'm like, trans is nuts. Like that whole idea of that is fucking nuts because it affects children who don't understand anything about this.
Right.
And immediately, like within 1 or 2 phone calls, you're on puberty blockers. Like you can't undo that. Once you ring that bell, you can't unring it.
Right.
And they tell you that like, if you start a puberty blocker and then you decide you want to get off of it, everything's fine. It's not. Like the freight train of time is happening.
Right.
If you stunt that, you're all fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you add on top of that, if you feel like you're in the wrong body, you're probably sad. Right. Because you're not in the right body. So if the parent is going to allow their kid to be on puberty blockers, they're also going to let them allowed to be on the anti-anxiety drugs, the depression drugs, whatever drugs have to counteract the effects of whatever puberty blockers that are on. So now you have like this kid that's in a poisonous fog of not knowing who they are, what they are, and these medicines confuse them even more. Then they go to see therapists who, in my estimation, are all a bunch of high school kids who wanted to figure out what the fuck was wrong with them. They went to school for therapy, never figured it out. And now they're out giving terrible fucking advice to people because it makes them feel good. It's not appropriate. So that's that in like a nutshell, which is why I get crazy about it, because like you're literally sterilizing and butchering children.
Yeah.
And in 500 years, like we're going to look back at that as like the Aztecs. It's like, they sacrifice kids for the rain god. Isn't that fucking weird? Those people were savages. And you cut to today and it's like, we need to kill people because of the climate. And you're like, we have not advanced as a people.
Yeah.
Like we look at each other as like, we're like this high bar and it's like, we're so advanced and we understand people so much. And it's not, man. Everything always boils down to those common things that animals do, and they behave in certain. You don't see not a lot of gay. Well, unless you talk to Alex Jones, there's a lot of gay frogs, but then you find out that's real.
Yeah, yeah.
They're putting astrazine in the fucking water, and it makes the fucking frogs hermaphroditic. You're like, what? This guy was right.
Yeah.
I have a real problem in the trans industry. It has now become an industry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made, and the trans surgeries. If you had to get a knee replacement, there is a protocol, right? Probably something that like if you go to Atlanta, Chicago, Scranton, fucking Houston, it's probably the same procedure. What to do. There is no guidelines for trans. They're just doing it ad hoc, and no one's holding their feet to the fire. Nobody from the medical establishment is going like, now how'd you turn that pee-pee inside out? And did you do it the right way? And why are you cutting off the forearms of these kids, of the skin? And why is it that like male to female, you can now like, do you know how that works? This is going to get real dark. But
so again, I don't know enough to like.
There's a ceramic pump, right? So basically what they do with the penis is they make an opening that's a wound. And every day you have to inflate this ceramic thing so that the wound does not close.
Okay.
That seems torture to me.
Right. Instead
of going like, you got a dick, move on.
Yeah.
I think it's the height of insanity, and it's being brought down from up high from these people who are like academics and scholars and what would you rather have, a trans kid or a dead kid? That is a terrible value arrangement to make, because that's not what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let them go through puberty. They'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't know enough about it. I feel strongly that, we're introducing the concept far too early.
Can't do it.
It just.
Now, as an American, like quasi-libertarian, quasi-anarchist, you're of sound mind and body and you're like 18 to 21. I prefer it over 21.
25.
But at the same time, like, who gives it, like, how are we arbitrarily just picking up, like, when you're an adult, when you can drink, when you can, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So there's like in that world, in that realm of time, fine.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it, because now you have now left the house, so to speak. If you want to, this life is now your own. Mom and dad were there to make sure that you survive, to, leave the village and do what you got to do. And if you got to do that, I feel for you, man. It's a tough life, but you're not doing it to fucking kids. Anybody who does it to kids, like it enrages me because I look at it as child abuse.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and torture. And it's like,
yeah.
Who's the girl on like TLC?
Jazz.
Is it that her name?
I think so.
Watch 20 minutes of that, and you're like, no one should do this to their kids.
Yeah,
and it's mostly the mom.
Really?
Yeah, the mom's pushing it. She doesn't even want to do it.
You know, and that's, you probably want the best for your kid, and you want your kid to feel good in their own body,
Sure.
right? I get all that. It just, kids are confused. Like, one day they want, like,
one day I'm a dog, Dad.
Yeah, but it goes to the whole, like, and I know the tattoo thing is different, but like, there's reasons why you don't get tattoos before you're a certain age. Like,
why don't we allow children to get tattoos, but we allow them to cut their breasts off?
It's
like, for what? For empathy?
Yeah.
Sweden did a study, right? Sweden, remember, I'm going to try this again.
Okay.
Do you remember when you were growing up and like it was like transvestites or sex changes or whatever, and it's like they don't do them in America. You have to go to like Europe, and it was Sweden, right? Even when I was a kid, that's what it was. Like they did 50 years of this. They would do sex change operations. Like a year or two ago, Sweden went like, hey, we have the most robust data on this. There is no benefit to this. And as a matter of fact, there's more harms, right? Because if you want to do a harms benefit analysis, right? If a person is in a terrible place, you don't want to put them in a worse place.
Right.
But you also don't want to make the benefit like 2% better than the worst place that they're in. So there is no benefit to it. And the studies that they found that like 85% of the kids who had gender dysmorphia, body dysmorphia, if you did nothing, and you let them go through puberty, they were fine. There's such a thing as effeminate boys, masculine girls, but they end up being fine. And then like it's like the 15% left, like 90% of the 15% left ended up being gay, like just gay, male or female gay. And the other 1%, which is a very small portion, ended up just like that is a body dysmorphia thing, but it's not, that comes from trauma or something else. Like most of the people who have like body dysmorphia and all these things have actually come from like abusive homes, so don't be a piece of shit.
Right.
Most of the people, like that's the crazy thing about like pedophiles. Most pedophiles were abused and most of their abusers were abused.
Right.
And like that's the cycle,
yeah,
that you can't get out of. Like that's the thing that like you as an individual has to decide. Like I'm gonna stop this or I'm gonna continue it.
Yeah.
So that's why like I don't like fucking pedophiles at all. But once you went, like I feel it in empathy to like I feel bad for why they got there because it's almost like they didn't have a choice.
Yeah, that's what they learned, and that's we talked about like no one should wish death upon anyone. And I might. That
doesn't let me allow their behavior.
Right. But like, I mean, if that's done to another kid, we say cycle, like that's going to ruin that kid for the rest of their life.
Forever.
Like that's not even fair.
Forever.
Kids are born completely innocent. Like,
yes, they
don't deserve that. Like we are adults, like we're able to think things through, or we should. And for us to do that, or for anyone to do that to somebody like at that age is horrific.
Now you're a parent.
Oh, yeah.
You're a parent doing that.
Yeah.
That's the thing where I was trying to tell Bill, I'm like, imagine you're a parent. Imagine you're a parent that went through with all this trans nonsense and you got your kid puberty blockers and you got your kid the surgery because that's what they wanted. And then your kid isn't any happier. And then you find out like this stuff's getting stopped everywhere around the world right now. The American Society of Pediatrics came out and said to everybody, this was like, remember this? It was like a month ago. Remember I showed you this, the woman in the white coat. She's like, we've done all the data. We need to stop this now. We need to stop all this fucking trans surgery, medicines, everything now, immediately. And she's like, I implore all of you, every group, every organization to stop pushing it. Because it's a net negative. Yeah. And it's not even like just a net negative. It's detrimental. That's why I'm like, my wife, she's real big on the trans stuff. She goes, I came to this country, I had to learn fucking pronouns. Now I don't know what a woman is. You know what I mean? So she takes it very visceral. But she looks at it as harming people that don't need to be harmed. They're not being helped. And it's the lobotomies of the 21st century to do that to kids. I have nothing. I have friends that are gay. I have friends that are bi. I have like I said, the LGBs, I'm pretty cool with. The T's are very angry. They don't like fucking, like, they're never happy. They judge everything. They're just, they need to be helped in a different way besides affirming their mental illness.
Yeah.
Imagine, you're a music guy. Imagine if the whole world, when Karen Carpenter was one of the biggest musicians in the world, to be like, I like when you stick your finger down your throat and puke. You should keep doing that. What's that called? Bulimia?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should make sure bulimia is spread across the world.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it usually comes from trauma. It's an unresolved trauma.
Yeah.
And usually abuse. Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's scary. And I wish I had the answers.
Yeah. Homeschool. I found a program. It seems to be very easy comparatively to everything else. When you hear like homeschool, you immediately think like, oh no.
Yeah, but isn't the interaction with like classmates important too?
Your kid's in school right now?
Yeah, one is kindergarten.
Did he have friends before that?
Daycare.
Do you have friends outside of school?
There's an important like interaction.
I don't
to
think so.
School that.
I don't think so. Because here's how I look at it now. Who's educating your kids? The state, not you.
Sure, unless you send a.
But that's your responsibility as a parent to take an active position in their education and know what they're doing and teach them the right things.
To not go is probably the right way. You see what I mean? Like, because I've had this argument a lot with people, right? It used to be that way. Like, if you look at history on a timeline, schools really didn't exist in the form that we know, where it's from the government. Like, communities would make school. Right. That would be the education. A couple hours a day or whatever. But most of it was like exploring and trying to understand life and how do you plant a garden and what's this butterfly for and what does it do and then where does it migrate, and like those are all these things that like keep these kids fascinated. Watch kids who are homeschooled versus kids who go to fucking public school. They're night and day different, and they're all good people. And I don't think the argument like social interactions, like they have social interactions. They can still play baseball. They can still play sports. They can still do whatever the fuck they want to do. What social interactions are they really having going to math class? Then bell rings, you go to English class. Then bell rings, you go to, you see what I mean? Yeah. Like all you're looking for is like somebody to read out loud a book and then they eat together and then they come home and go to gym, like forced to go outside. Like you should just be doing, why can't you read a book outside? Why can't you do, I'm real psycho on what I think about that. Like if I had the Dutton Ranch, like this is what would transpire.
Yeah.
I don't know why parents over the last 4 years didn't say like, look, here's how much we pay in property taxes for the school district. Or here's how much we pay crazy private schools. Let's put it all together. There's probably 3 or 4 teachers who want to resign. You could rent a building. Those teachers teach the curriculums that you want your kids to be taught. Critical thinking, how to finance, how to cook an egg, how to sew, how to like do simple things like that, which is the stuff that they really need, as opposed to like diversity, equity, inclusion. There's a lot of crazy shit that could come out of my mouth right now, but they're being taught things that they don't need.
Yeah.
None of them, they're not being taught conflict resolution in the schools. There's no discipline in the schools now.
Right.
Because the moment you discipline somebody, it's like the parents will sue.
Right.
And you know how many, Scranton School District, for example, you know how many lawsuits they fight?
No idea.
There's a lot of them that are brought forth. 0. They fight 0 lawsuits. Every parent fucking knows that if they sue them, they're going to get something.
Yeah.
So they'll find reasons to do it. The whole system's broke. That's why I'm like, I wanted to run for school board so I knew I was going to be the lone voice. No one would ever publicly agree with me. But I thought maybe I can get people thinking about like the right ways to do things.
Did you run?
I ran for school board. Yeah. I was the top Republican vote getter in the city of Scranton.
Yeah.
For all races, which was weird. I'll never do it again. As soon as I find, like, now I know how the machine works. Now I know, like, you got to take a fucking grenade to it. You got to be from a phoenix, rise up from the ashes, do it all over again. I'm now a proponent of, like, getting rid of the Department of Education. It has done nothing for us. Started in 1979 and test scores have gone down, but the money flowed.
Right.
You get more money. Kids aren't smarter. Do you think kids are smarter between 1980?
I don't have the data, but
just objectively.
Yeah.
You see these kids and you're like, what was the War of 1812? I don't know. How many stars are on the fucking United States flag?
Memorial Stadium looks a lot nicer since the 80s.
Was it really crappy back then?
Yeah, I mean, it was older. It had the nice like brick entranceway. I did like that.
That was nice.
That was cool.
I did see the Beach Boys, America, and Three Dog Night there. That was my first concert. Was at Memorial Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw Weird Al at the Kirby Center.
Okay.
I thought we were just talking about our first concerts.
Oh, you're so. That's what I'm not trying to tell you to fucking raise your kids. I'm just trying to throw some shit at you to think about.
It's one of those things. It's like it's almost overwhelming to think about.
I think most people just have to, like, once you make the decision, like, you know, those people who, like, once they make the decision, they can do anything.
Yeah.
Just make the decision.
Yeah. You know, it's I mean,
or buy every stock Nancy Pelosi buys.
There's that too. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's not an easy thing, raising children. It's probably one of the, it's the absolute most rewarding thing I've ever done.
It should be beautiful for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be beautiful.
It's both. I mean, and my kids are young. I don't have a lot of, my daughter's 2, my son's 6, so there's not a lot of outside influence. Yeah. Not yet.
Don't let them. They're your kids.
Yeah.
You get to teach them whatever morals and things that you want, and they can argue with you about it, and you can state your cases, but do not let other people influence. Other people, TV shows, phones, influence your kids.
These things are scary.
Don't give your kids phones.
No. And I think there's a new phone coming out. I think I saw.
I think was it Eric Prince is doing it or something. He's the head of Blackwater.
I forget. It said like no.
There's nothing.
Yeah, no internet.
It does. No, it does. It does email, text messages, and like that's about it.
Yeah.
Could they at least put Snake on it for me?
Sure, Dan. But that's not what your phone. Your phone's not like.
Well, I mean, it's. I think it's good for kids to be able to contact you, but it's different.
How did you when you were 12? How did you contact your parents?
Yeah, I don't know now that I think about it.
Yeah, 0, 4.
But I remember riding my bike to baseball practice, like a mile and a half from my house.
Yeah.
Like,
you guys are. Oh, you're leaving now. See you when you get home.
Yeah.
That was 3 hours. You be gone 3 hours.
Yeah.
No phone. No nothing.
But it goes back to what I said before. Like I think we're just more. I don't know what's better. It's like I like to know like where my kid is and be able to contact him, but
okay, it's very easy, right? How did you end up?
I think okay.
Now look at the kids who do the things that you're afraid of. How do they end up? Not as good.
Yeah. So
the answer is really easy. You don't do that thing.
Yeah.
You do this thing. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because literally it's like when people started giving me shit, because like in liberalism, most of it is like anti-nuclear family, religion. Those are things that are really poo-pooed. Like they make fun of it. So like they'll go like Christian nationalism or like, you know, oh, he has a mother and a father. I have 2 dads or I have 2 moms. Like that's cool. Like I should do that. Like I look at it as like, they're not trying to destroy it, but they're not trying to improve like the nuclear family. And the nuclear family is really important because it's about your kids. It's about what we do tomorrow, what we do 30 years from now.
Yeah.
You know, the crazy thing about the whole trans movement is, to bring it back to that, is if everybody turned trans in 100 years, there is no more civilization.
Right.
We're done. So why would we do that? Like, I have all these conservative people who are Christians and Catholics, and it's like they're really happy, and like they donate to people, and if you need something, they help you, and it's like, and they don't do it like bitching and moaning. They're like, I'm there for your brother, whatever you need. It's just really beautiful. And it's like, if you have options, why would you not always choose like the helpful, beautiful option? Even if you don't agree with it, these guys are going to be my friends because they're really, really nice to me. That was the biggest surprise when I left like the liberals. How fucking accepting the conservative party is way more accepting than the liberal party, because the conservative party, like once you get in a room, you're like, there are the weirdest fucking people in here that I have ever seen in my life from every walk of life. And they all care about the same thing, and they don't want anyone to suffer. They like, I don't like the liberals, but I don't want them to die.
Right.
But they're all weirdos. Like they're all weirdos. It's amazing. If you ever want to go to like, if Trump comes to town, would you go to a Trump rally?
I don't know.
Can I tell you something? I've been to concerts my whole life. I have never felt the energy that I did at a Trump rally. Yeah. It's the most bizarre thing that I can't explain.
Yeah, I tend to just stay out of the.
It's not. I don't think it's it's
I
it's the greatest show on earth.
I understand what you're saying. I like
come to the circus, see the elephants. It's amazing.
I feel like I'm so in the middle. Like I don't even entertain.
That's a perfect reason to go.
Yeah.
What's this about? That's the reason I found bands that I thought I'd never like.
Sure.
I was like, man, they're much better. Their CD sucks. They're much better live.
Yeah.
The energy of a live show is way better than this fucking 2 album.
Do you watch wrestling?
I used to when I was younger.
Okay. So yesterday, Mark was watching the RNC thing going on there. And the way that they were speaking up on the stage and the way the crowd's reacting, I turned to him and I said, you will watch this shit, but you won't watch wrestling with me. The way they speak, the way they control the crowd, the way they just say things.
Yeah.
All they have to say is to defend this belt this weekend at WrestleMania, and it'll be the same exact shit.
Yeah.
So there is some entertainment value to it.
It's the greatest TV show on earth.
I heard that Hulk Hogan is going to be at the RNC tonight.
Tonight. He might be on right now.
Is he on right now?
I don't know. We did 2 hours, man. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Was it okay, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have these conversations with people.
Sure.
I mean, whether you agree with somebody or disagree with somebody, and was I hesitant to come on here?
Oh, now the truth comes after 2 hours. He's finally being truthful.
No, I don't know that I was hesitant, but like,
no one will get to this point. He's thinking,
no. I mean, you have to have these conversations.
You have to, and
maybe at the end of the day, you say something I never thought about before.
Or maybe you do.
Or vice versa. Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, we have to be responsible enough where at the end of it, I listen to you, you listen to me, and we go on about our lives.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, fuck Marky Tennant. Like,
yeah. He's a piece of shit. Or as the paper called me, a COVID denying vaccine skeptic. Or a COVID skeptic vaccine, whatever it was.
January 6th.
Apologist. Yeah. The fucking newspaper called me that.
The newspaper did?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Certain reporter.
Jiffy Two Chords might be working on a song about him too.
I hope fucking Jiffy Two Chords is working on a song about him.
But no, I mean, it's like, I don't have to agree with what you say.
No.
I don't have to agree with what I say. We're human beings, and we're all trying, at the end of the day, trying to like live our best life.
Sure.
And as long as we're not hurting anybody.
No.
Like, what does it matter?
I'm on a mission. I realize that I'm on a mission of truth and hope, right? Yeah. Truth is love. At the end of the day, to be honest with someone, that means you love them. That doesn't mean that you're trying to be callous or you're trying to tear them down. I think truth is love, because at the end of it, like, there's nothing more important than truth, right? And I think the world that we're in right now, I think you got to put a little bit of hope in there, because it can't be so futile.
Yeah.
It can't seem like it's the end of the world, because it's not. Stuff like this has happened in America has happened for millennia.
Yeah.
Right. But you recognize it and you try to stop it. And I think you stop it through love.
Yeah.
You know, that's why, like, I don't understand why people get mad at me, man. Like, there's comments, but I'm like, obviously you haven't listened.
Yeah.
Because I don't hate you. I just think what you're doing is a net negative for human existence. You know, and hopefully, when I was doing the homeless thing, and maybe we can end on this. When I was doing the homeless thing, I don't know if you watched any of those.
You know, parts of them.
There's 4. It's like a 90-minute documentary right now.
Yeah.
So after the second one came out, I got rumblings that like the homeless were mad at me. And this one guy in particular, his name's James Hogan. He was doing Facebook Lives. He's like an advocate for the homeless. And he's like, you know, he's born again. He was talking shit on Sean McAndrew, the school director, talking shit on me. And then my buddy said to me one day, he goes, oh, there's a whole homeless like party down at the pavilion. And I remember seeing James posted something about it online. I never talked to James before in my life. And I go down there and I have the cowboy hat on and everything. It's hot. And he's under the pavilion and I'm just sitting there. I'm at the end of the parking lot smoking a cigarette. I'm just trying to like, look, like what's going on here? Like, who are these people? Where did they come from? And I hear him going, oh, you think you're a tough guy? Where's your camera now? And I'm like, oh my God, this guy wants to start a fucking fight with me. And I looked at my buddy and I'm like, what do I do? He's like, dude, there's like 60 of them. Like, you don't go over there. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like I got to go over there. And he goes, I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, fuck it. So I'm walking over and I'm going like this to this guy yelling. I get over there. One of his minions, I won't call him a minion. I just didn't know what to call him at the time. He's a really sweet guy. He comes over, starts talking to me about this guy, James. And he's like, you know, I said, dude, I'm not your enemy. I said, I think the people in charge are the enemy. It's not me. I'm trying to expose them, not you. And he goes, well, that's good to hear. And he's like a little, you know. So then that James guy's yelling and yelling and yelling. And I'm trying to ignore him. And by that time, I have like 40 people surrounding me, homeless people. Right? James comes through and he's like, what do you think? You're a tough guy. And I said, shut up right now. And he was taken aback by that. I said, you and I are going to hug. And after we do that, whatever you want to say to me in front of these people, you can say that, but we're going to get the hug out of the way. He fucking, oh, okay. So he gives me this big hug. And I said, no, I'm not your enemy, man. I said, I'm with you. I think this is fucking terrible. I think the way that everyone's treated is fucking terrible. And we need to fix it. We need to work together as a community to fix it. And everybody's talking. And I said, can I talk to you in private? We went over there to talk to private for an hour and a half. Just because, you know, I was like, we don't have to be this way. Yeah. We don't have to be fuck you, fuck you. And it was beautiful. He still texts me. We have a great relationship. I sent a reporter to him the other day. And he's a good dude. He's been through hell. And most of them have. Most of them have been through hell.
This is the homeless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
You can't, people who think that you're your enemies probably aren't.
Yeah. I mean, we live in such a divided country.
Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be. But it's if you're not on my side, if you're not on my team, you're the enemy.
Then fuck you.
Yeah.
You accept.
I wish it wasn't like that.
You accept what you allow.
Yeah.
What's this?
So to speak, on the circus that we are currently living in.
Is that Hillary Clinton at the Republican convention?
Just a little kind of. Oh, that's
what is this?
Safari A10. This is.
Did you have something queued up?
Well, I was kind of seeing because I wanted to see who was going to show up at this.
Is this Kid Rock's mom?
No, this is.
There's no sound?
No, I'm not going to play it just so that way in case.
What? In case what? Oh, Vince McMahon's wife.
I think ex-wife right now might be.
Yeah, didn't Vince McMahon poop on people?
Yeah, he did some things.
Which is no surprise, really.
No, I mean, if you've heard like wrestling stories from wrestlers, like they've done heinous things with each other, but they're on the road with each other all the time and everything. But yeah, she was the former head of small business.
She was the head of the SBA when Trump was in there. Holy fuck. Well, she looks good. She looks like Hillary Clinton, though. She might want to redo all that.
She does look a little like...
I was hoping she was going to be introducing Hulk Hogan.
Did he speak yet?
No, I've been like flipping through this to see if anybody showed up here.
All right. Well,
no.
Johnny Popko, I am so proud of you for never giving up And I'm so proud of you for finally putting your name on a thing and allowing the world to know what a good dude you are. And they should listen to your podcast, and they should listen to you when you're on the Fuzz 96.1.
It's Fuzz 96.1.
Just Fuzz.
Get it right, Mark.
Fuzz 96.1.
Fuzz 96.1.
Yeah.
Wait. What if I do Fuzz
92.1? We're hilarious.
I think it's going to be great, man. I think, and you guys, you know what you guys got to do? Concerts.
I mean, Fuzz Fest was a huge thing. It was, the last year we did it, we had Weezer and Panic at the Disco. It was a huge show.
We should do an apolitical, bring the community together, fucking.
We got to get you away from politics.
You can't, man.
Yeah.
It runs the world.
I know, but it's
I see it everywhere I go. I see the Matrix now. I can't unsee it.
But I feel like that's like people just, they hear Marky Denenbaum and they're like, oh, politics.
He's so much more than that.
Yeah, I know he is.
I talk about like psychedelics. I talk about.
I know, but
I look at politics as the human, like an offshoot of like the human condition.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not so much the politics; it's the culture.
Yeah.
Right. The culture is making these moves, and the politicians are reacting to them, or the politicians are trying to coerce the public to have reactions to get what they want. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I hate bullies, man. I hate fucking bullies. And right now, you pay taxes to pedophiles. I have a problem with that. So it's not about politics. It's just like, why are we, I love going out and just talking shit and just laughing and like doing all that. I'd rather not talk about this stuff, but it's like, I feel like if who else is?
If you not you, then who?
That's what I'll tell you what, man. I had that like epiphany, like I was during this whole thing, and I'm like, no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
Like, why is no one else doing it? Like, why am I the one who's at least has the balls to say something that 20 years ago would not be controversial?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why I can't stop. If everybody got along, this would be piss and fart jokes. You know what I mean? Or we'd be talking about like how shitty some shitty movies are or whatever. But I feel like it's too, like, we got guests coming up now that are like state senators and like, but I like talking to them because when you find out they're people too.
Yeah.
It makes it so much, the illusion of that optics goes away. And that's when I really know if I like you or not. And there's so many people that I thought were pieces of shit that I really like just from talking to them.
Yeah. Was it Lauren Cummings?
Had her on.
Yeah, I saw that, and you're like, hey, you know what? I had the wrong thing about you.
She didn't want, but here's the thing: she didn't want me to apologize to her again. She goes, "You already did that." Yeah. I did it to her. I did it in private.
Yeah,
I said I want the world to be able to do that. Right. Because she's not a bad person. Even though like the people around here who are who have talked to me since. She's batshit crazy. I said, honestly, I don't think she's that crazy. I think she's misunderstood, and I don't think she knows how to communicate in a way that is effective to convince you people that she's not crazy. Yeah. I don't think she's crazy. She raised 3 kids on her own. There was no dad. All those kids are, they're all good now. They have kids of their own. She's a grandma. She's her own small business. Like, yeah. Why wouldn't we want to? That's the idea of what we want a strong woman to be. Just because you don't like the shit that she says, she doesn't hate anybody.
I don't even know what she said.
They took everything that she said and turned it into some fucking chum. Yeah. She doesn't hate gay people. She doesn't hate anybody. She goes, I think that's wrong, but I don't hate them for it. Right. Just like the guy who cuts his grass this way and not this way, I think is wrong. Like that's how she looks at it. Yeah. She is not a bad person. You probably have a good conversation if you ever get a chance. Like, I really like her. Right.
That's what I'm saying though. It's like, how do you get these people? Like,
I just asked them.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'm going to send you a couple episodes. Well, I saw her at an event, and she said to me something that like broke my heart. I walked up to her. I haven't seen her in a while. And this is when I flipped my hats. And the reason why people think I'm a Republican right now is because I got nowhere to go, and they're really nice to me. If I could be an independent, I would. 52% of the country is independents. I would do that, but we don't have a party. She was at a thing getting signatures, and her daughter was there. Her other daughter. I dated her one daughter, which I totally didn't realize happened until 2019. So her other daughter was there. I said hi to her daughter, and she was there, and she kind of gave me the eye, like Lorene gave me the eye. And I said to her, I said, look, she goes, I watched your podcast. And I said, which one? She goes, all of them. And I went, why would you subject yourself to that? That's insane. And she goes, you think the same way I do. And I said, yeah, I think I do. She goes, why do people like you and not me? And I said, I think it's your delivery. I think it's how you convey those words. I said, but I want to tell you right now from the bottom of my heart, I am incredibly sorry for all those things that I posted about you and said about you. And she goes, and just like that, she goes, I forgive you. It's okay. And I almost started to cry. And I said to her, she said to me, she goes, you know that since I've ran for office, you're the first person that has apologized to me for saying things about me. And I said, that is terrible. That's terrible. And that's how I got her on.
Well, we're not allowed to switch sides. We're not allowed to have a stance here, learn, from mistakes, or just, hey, I'm a different person now. Like we're not allowed to do that.
We are.
Well, I know, but
don't let them tell you you're not.
I know, but I know that. But
you be the best John you can fucking be. Fuck the noise. Don't listen to anybody.
Dude, all I care about in life, really,
make good radio. Love your kids.
Outside of it, all I care about are my 2 children and my wife, and my family, my mother, and my brothers, and my father and mother-in-law, things like that. But and that's all I care about, and that's all I can control, really.
That's what gives you freedom.
Yeah.
If all you care about is your kids and your wife, right? And look, when you have the kids are the first priority. Before you have the kids, the wife is the first priority. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now you have your unit. The unit knows how it operates. Anything that isn't in that unit, fuck you. Fuck your opinions. Yeah. My wife's everything that I do, I've run past my wife.
Me too. She's
you know what I mean? I'm like, honey, you cool if if I say this shit? She goes, is it true? I said, yes. And she goes, then say it. And I'm like, all right. We could talk for fucking 12 hours. I really enjoy you. It was like in the 60s, that would be my hooker. Enjoy you. I really enjoy you. Really proud of what you're doing. I'm happy you didn't just, I'm happy you're sticking with the things that you like and you're good at. And I think that you're going to do some really good stuff for around here.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Hope is another word for doubt. I think you're going to do a bunch of really good stuff around here.
That's what's going to happen. It's like I said.
You got a good team over there. Mihal's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, Mihal's great. And the sky's the limit. Fuzz is back. Rock 107 is a great radio station. But yeah, I'm just to be able to kind of marry the Fuzz show with the podcast. It's outside of my family. Like I get so much joy out of sharing the music from this area.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's just, I would put up this area up against any other city in America.
You know why?
Why?
They're sad.
They're sad. It is the Northeast. Yes. It's
I think Springsteen wrote all those good songs, man. He was this depressed town.
Yeah. It's like Boston. There's angry,
Is there any bands right now doing rock rap?
Rock rap?
Yeah, like the way like Limp Bizkit's first album, or like Incubus at the beginning, or like
The Collective was.
I just interviewed a band last night, Autumn Kings, and they're like, I don't see.
There's somebody scratching on stage.
No, there's not like that. This guy was a great guy. His name is Jake. They'll be out in a couple of weeks, but like a Linkin Park.
I'm fine with that.
Esque, with a mix of like
311
Fall Out Boy almost is the.
I'd be curious.
Yeah,
I grew up on the Judgment Night soundtrack, which was like a Helmet. Was that Helmet and House of Pain and Pearl Jam and Cypress Hill?
I had the single soundtrack.
Oh, single soundtrack was awesome too. That was really good.
We need to make CDs a thing again.
Yo, why don't you bring some of these bands in here, record them, we do a compilation, we give it out. Like, let's say we, take some of the proceeds and then other proceeds go to charity.
You have all the space now, huh?
Okay, I'll show you when we're done.
All right.
Johnny Popko.
I hope I was interesting enough for you. I'm not the.
I thought you were dull as fuck.
I am not. I'm not. I'm not entertaining.
You are.
No.
You are. You're a good dude. You got good energy. You're not a piece of shit. You have a great story. You have a good family.
Yeah, I have a great.
Why
family.
wouldn't I want to fucking talk to somebody like you? And why wouldn't I feel privileged and grateful to have somebody like you to say, yeah, I'm going to go on the show with the guy who on his last podcast wore a fucking tinfoil hat for 2 hours.
I said, I was with Bill before I left for Africa. I said, what is this, fucking Rogan and Duncan Trussell or what?
Yeah.
They always dress up and
He sent me a text. I'm going to read it out. I'm going to read it here because I couldn't believe he sent it to me. This is why I continue to do what I do, right? Bill Corcoran texts me at 3:14 a.m.
Okay.
Sorry for the middle of the night text, but I had to send this before I forgot and while I have service right now. But one of the Kenya hotel workers had a podcast on his laptop and it sounded like American politics. So I made a convo and then told him to watch your episode and he pulled it right up and started watching and subscribed. LOL. He loves it. Ha ha ha. He said, quote, this will keep me busy. And there is. Isn't that cool?
There it is.
So I have somebody in Kenya right now,
right,
or this morning, listening to me talk crazy fucking shit with a tinfoil hat on. And he's probably going to talk to Bill and be like, that man's right. We need to get him to Kenya.
Yeah. That'd be something, huh?
Yeah. Just be you, man. Just be you.
Yeah.
Most people are born original and they die a copy. Don't die a copy.
Yeah.
Fuck everybody else.
Yep.
Keep doing what you do. Dan, did you have fun?
I had a great time today. Yeah.
And laugh. You always got to laugh.
Yeah, music from Jiffy Lube.
He's going to take a little offense to that, but I understand you haven't heard of him yet. He's still kind of new to the scene. His name is Khaki Squire.
Khaki Squire. I like that song.
Yeah. He's got some good stuff. I'll send some over to you.
Who's his manager?
Well, his manager is his uncle, Gene King, the Gene King.
What are these names?
They're these, they're these listeners that just are sending us shit and it's so weird.
He's lying.
Shut it.
He's mad at me.
Gene King?
Gene King. I'll tell
Khaki
you.
Squire.
Sometime
he'll tell you.
Sometime when you come back, I'll tell you about Gene King, the Gene King. Yeah. He was this Gene entrepreneur in Scranton that's been erased from history. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. When Gene King, the store, came to town, they actually like pushed him out because they're the same name. Yeah. Eliminated from history.
We learned all this by smoking pot.
Well, Khaki Squire, don't get offended by me saying Jiffy Lube. It just, start of that just sounded like it was
Khaki Squire is pretty awesome.
He is. Yeah.
All right.
I love that song.
Did you have fun?
I had a great time.
Do you want to play us out to that song?
I was going to play her little stinger on the way out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Will you come back?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have fun?
I'll be more entertaining next time. Maybe.
Dude, be you. I had fun with you.
All right.
Yeah. I hope you had fun with us.
Of course.
Dan, you want to say it?
What a week.
Yo. Hey. Can you hear me? You listening to WAW. What a week. Yeah, yo. What a week.